We are back, week number 6 of the college football season in 2025. We've got 51 games this week in college football. And of course, like we do every single week, we will be predicting every single game. Don't know how long the video is going to be, but lock in. We are talking about every single college football game here in week number 6, all FBS versus FBS matchups. I believe there's only one FCS game being played this week, and I forget who it is. It's a very non-meaningful game, obviously, because it's an FCS school. Doesn't matter, though. It's the Campbell Camels versus NC State. Yeah. Not going to talk about that game, but every FBS versus FBS game we will be featuring in today's video. And folks, before we get into it, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more college football predictions here on the channel. Again, we're doing this all year long. Later in the week on Friday, we're going to have our best bets for the college football week. And then on Saturday, we're going to have our NFL best bets, because tomorrow we will have our NFL predictions here on the channel. So make sure to join us for that. Daily MLB Best Bets resume tomorrow with the first round of the MLB playoffs. And also on Greedo Plays MMA this week, our UFC 320 predictions with Magomed Ankalaev and Alex Pereira in the main event. Also PFL predictions coming out on Greedo Plays MMA later today as well. Okay, let's do it. The first of a bunch of games. We're going to kick things off with the only game on Thursday. Again, folks, before we get into it, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Again, it helps out the channel a lot, and it's much appreciated if you just subscribe and leave a like. That's all I ask you guys to do. Okay, first game of many. Let's start things off with the CUSA. All right, we're getting closer now to those Tuesday and Wednesday night games. We're getting closer to the middle of the week Conference USA football games. You know what? They start next week. All right, next week we have Wednesday night football, Missouri State, Middle Tennessee, Liberty, UTEP. All right, we're officially back next week. However, we have one game on Thursday. Who needs to watch Thursday night football? Nah. We got Sam Houston State and New Mexico State. On CBS Sports Network from Las Cruces, New Mexico, I will be going with the New Mexico State Aggies as underdogs. Guys, I think this is great value on New Mexico State, believe it or not. I know they just lost last week to the New Mexico Lobos, and the biggest storyline, I guess, of that game legitimately may be the fact that Speed and John Jones showed up to the game, which was kind of funny, but the Lobos win the game at home and they cover against the Aggies. It's something that we expected, right? New Mexico wins the game by 18 points. You get a New Mexico State team that's now 2-2 this season with wins over the Bryant Bulldogs and the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. Very competitive games, and then two not that close losses on the road in Albuquerque and in Louisiana against La Tech. New Mexico State's opponents, though, the Sam Houston Bearcats, who are 0-4. Guys, this is kind of looking like Sam Houston in 2023 when they started 0-8 to start the regular season. They did finish 3-9 because they won 3 out of their last 4 games. And, obviously Sam Houston last year took that next step in 2024. They won 9 games in the regular season. They went to the R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl, and they won it against Georgia Southern. It's a different group of guys, obviously, out there now, but Hunter Watson is back. Watson started their last game against the Texas Longhorns, and obviously nobody thought the Bearcats were going to win that football game, even though Arch was pretending like he was playing against an SEC school, but it's okay. Sam Houston, though, is 0-4, and it's beyond just, losing to Texas. Well, they go to Hawaii, they get embarrassed. I get it. Going out there in the middle of the Pacific Ocean can be difficult. They go to Bowling Green, Kentucky, and get blown out by Western Kentucky. They host UNLV. They lose that football game. I just think it's difficult for them going on the road now to Las Cruces and playing the Aggies in a weird environment. Not saying Las Cruces, New Mexico is weird, but guys, there's going to be no one at the game on a Thursday night. It's going to feel like an empty stadium, I think. Maybe I'm proven wrong by Las Cruces, the population of Las Cruces, New Mexico, but I don't think I'm going to be proven wrong. Maybe I am. I don't know. It's a Thursday night game, and I believe New Mexico State's the better football team. I believe so. They have a very experienced quarterback in Logan Fife. Now, that's not always the best thing you want to hear out of a quarterback introduction, that he's experienced, because if he was good, you just say he's good. But Logan Fife's played a lot of college football. I'm not going to go over his past because we've done it every single time we've talked about the Aggies this season. But this is a New Mexico State team that cannot run the football. Think about Louisiana State. That's what New Mexico State is. They can't run the ball. Leading rusher is Kadarius Callaway, who's got 30 carries for 80 yards. Yikes. They're a pass-first team. They're at home. I like the spot for him. Guys, Sam Houston's offense has been horrible. I get it, they've played good teams, but this has not been the Sam Houston team of last year. Hunter Watson he's struggled this year. I mean, he's been doing damage with his legs, sure, but he hasn't thrown a touchdown pass all year long. He's got 396 yards with 0 touchdowns and 2 interceptions over 77 attempts. I don't love that out of Sam Houston. Elijah Green is their leading receiver with 133 yards in 4 games, and I get it, they've played difficult teams, but this is not much. Well, okay, I was gonna say this is not much easier. Well, it's definitely easier going to Las Cruces than Austin, Texas, but still, it's a difficult spot for them, and I think it's a great spot to pick up plus money. We get plus 100 on New Mexico State at home. I mean, we get an experienced guy in Logan Fife who's been around college football for 5-6 years now. I mean, I got to go with the Aggies here. Give me New Mexico State at home to win against Sam Houston plus 100. On to Friday Night Football as we kick things off, or I guess we stay in the Conference USA. Delaware hosts Western Kentucky. Delaware is a 1.5 point favorite at home. I have to fade the Blue Hens here, though. I got to go with WKU. Delaware's played great football this season. They have exceeded expectations already. Through 4 games, they have, well exceeded expectations at 3-1, with their only loss being on the road at Colorado against the Colorado Buffaloes. Obviously, that was the Ryan Staub I Have a Dream game, or Martin Luther Staub game. But Delaware's played well this year. They go to UConn. They beat Connecticut. They last week or 2 weeks ago go to Miami, beat Florida International, and now they host the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers, a team that in their last game a couple weeks ago barely got by Missouri State. Actually, that was just last week. Barely got by Missouri State by 5 points. Difficult game, but Maverick, man, he is slinging it. 300 yards in that game over Missouri State, and Western Kentucky now 4-1 on the year. This is a team that has a great offense. Obviously, they had Caden Vet Camp last year at TJ Finley as well. Now, of course, they go to the Albany Christian quarterback here in Maverick. But Maverick's been really good. I mean, 1,500 yards, 11 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. This is a guy who's going to continue to excel in the CUSA. And Western Kentucky has always been a very good squad or very good program since joining the CUSA and leaving the Sun Belt. They've always been one of these teams that have been at the top. They have not won the CUSA, if I'm not mistaken. I could be forgetting about a year, but I don't think they've won the CUSA just yet. I know last year, right, they lost in the championship game to the Gamecocks of Jacksonville State. However, Western Kentucky's looked good this year. 4-1, Mavericks slinging the rock. They can run it too. I'd expect a lot of points. Friday night game, the over-under 61.5. Maybe the highest that I can find. It's the highest through the first 2 days. I mean, for example, the Notre Dame Boise State game's at 64.5 for very good reasons. But this is the 3rd highest over-under I can find on the entire Week 6 schedule. The only 2 games with the higher over-under are Notre Dame and Boise State, and Virginia going on the road to Louisville to take on the Louisville Cardinals. So Vegas expects a lot of points. I expect a lot of points. I think Western Kentucky is going to get the better out of Delaware. I know Delaware's look great. Nick Minchiucci has been playing phenomenal football so far. Their running back, Joe Silver, has been really running it as well. 45 carries for 326 yards. That equates to over 7 yards a carry. Kyrie Duplessis has been a very good receiver for them too. I don't love them in a shootout with Western Kentucky. I know they've played great, and they did outduel UConn, which, has to be applauded, and I will tell you how good that is. That's phenomenal. It's hard to outduel Western Kentucky. Just is. The system that they run here, the pass-first approach, they are difficult to just outmatch and outpace the entire football game. I understand Delaware is yet to lose at home so far in 2025. They are 2-0 against Delaware State and against UConn, but I'm going to go with the Hilltoppers here. I believe Maverick's able to get it done. He's thrown for over 300 yards in over half the games he's played this season. Their only loss is on the road to Toledo, but I like the Toledo Rockets quite a bit. I mean, they're running through teams in the Mid-American this season, and I think Western Kentucky would be right there with them in the MAC if they were in the conference. Guys, this is a game that might decide who wins the CUSA. It might, and I know this is Week 6, and it's the 3rd CUSA game for WKU. It's the 2nd CUSA game for Delaware. I mean, these 2 teams right now look to be at the top of the conference. I guess Jack State's probably still there, and the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs are probably right there too because of their amazing defense. But this is a big game, and it's a fun game. I got to go with WKU, though, on the road. We're going to take plus money again. Give me Western Kentucky to go into Delaware and win the game over the Blue Hens. We go on now to our next game on Friday night. We go to a game with a 26.5 point spread. It is the South South Florida Bulls hosting the Charlotte 49ers. Unfortunately for Charlotte, they might be one of the worst one of the worst FBS teams in the country. They are 1-3 with their only one being over FCS Monmouth. Their losses this year: App State, North Carolina, and Rice. Last week against the Rice Owls, not a great game. It's actually a Thursday night game that Charlotte hosts at home against Rice. They are slight underdogs at home. You got to go to Grayson Loftus at some point in this football game. I think Connor Harrell's better, but it is what it is. If Loftus is starting, that's just what Charlotte's going to have to do here. They're going to get blown out on the road. I mean, sorry for the anticlimactic pick here. They're going to get run through by USF. South Florida still has playoff hopes, and I get it. We might be, you may be down on the Bulls after their loss at Miami. Guys, not many teams in the country can go into Miami and beat the Hurricanes. And I don't think many teams in the country can just straight up beat the Miami Hurricanes either. That's a really good football team. I told you week 0, hell, during the college basketball season, how good the Miami Hurricanes are, and that's exactly shown itself throughout the season. Now, of course, we get a big matchup we're going to talk about later today with them and the Florida State Seminoles. That's going to be a huge one, which unfortunately isn't as big now because FSU ruined it last week by losing at Virginia. More on that later. The ACC is weird. Anyways, South Florida lost to Miami, bounce back victory over South Carolina State. Here they are now against the Charlotte 49ers. Obviously, Byron Brown, still the starting quarterback of USF. He's been playing well this season. They've got a very good rushing attack. They've got multiple backs that can attack you and rip off big runs as well. But again, it's going to be the pass game for the most part that is going to concern you if you are scheming against the South Florida Bulls. It's a difficult team to play, though, especially at Raymond James in Tampa. That's a difficult environment to go play in, especially if you're Charlotte. You've only beat Monmouth this season, and Monmouth is a FCS squad. You might have to start Grayson Loftus this week too, which I think takes away from your offense a little bit, especially because of how well Connor Harrell can push the ball downfield. Again, Harrell's a mixed bag. I get that, but I don't know. Their offense, regardless of who's playing quarterback, has just not looked good. Week 1 against App State, you put up 11 points. Week 2 against North Carolina, you put up 3 points. You put up 42 against an FCS school. That's awesome. And then Rice last week or 2 weeks ago on a Thursday night, you lose 28-17. I have no confidence in the Charlotte 49ers offense. At the same time, their defense can get ran through as well. And we know what USF can do, We know what South Florida is capable of. 34-7 victory over Boise. I know, again, the win over Florida might not be aging the best, but going on the road to Florida and beating the Gators is big time as well. I mean, beating any SEC team on the road, I don't care who it is. That's a big accomplishment for a team out of the American Conference. Just because you lose to Miami doesn't mean we should be down on you. Got to go with the South Florida Bulls to win at home and cover it. It's a big spread. And we'll go over our favorite bets on Friday, what and what not to bet. I don't know if minus 26.5 though for the South Florida Bulls will be featured in the video, but it's our pick here. Give me USF at home, minus 26.5 against the Charlotte 49ers. We move on now to our third game on Friday, and we go to a matchup in San Jose, California, as we have got the San Jose State Spartans taking on the New Mexico Lobos. San Jose State is a 2.5-point favorite at home, and we are going to be going with the Spartans at home. Last week, I was surprised, very surprised with what San Jose State did at Stanford. Was I disappointed in Stanford? 100% that team can do us no rights, okay? They can never do us a solid. We had minus 2.5 for Stanford. They win the game by 1 point. Stanford wins, but Bengal Branson, you have Sam Roush open. It's a tunnel screen on a 2-point conversion to take a 3-point lead, and you throw it right in the dirt. Don't get me started on the bad beats we had last week. I love Indiana, all right? We are cheering Indiana to win the Natty this season. Why does Fernando have to take a safety on that play? We had minus 6.5. We got extremely unlucky last week, and it's unbelievable. Stanford beat San Jose State by 1 point because they had no way of stopping that pass game. At the same time, Ben Gulbranson threw for 444 yards, which is an accomplishment. Walker Aguette throws for 473 yards. He throws the ball 58 times against Stanford. 36 for 58 passing for 473 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's what San Jose State signed up for. That's what was in the card. That's what they thought of when they started to get over Emmett Brown and benched Brown last season. Danny Scudero is really good. He's their lead receiver. He's no Nick Nash, but Scudero is a baller. 11 catches for 135 yards. Kyrie Scholes had 10 catches for 147 yards. San Jose State completely abandoned the run game because they were having so much success with the pass game, and that was just the type of game whoever had the ball last was going to win. Not really, because San Jose State's kicker is the lowest accuracy or has the lowest field goal percentage in all of college football. We're talking about Dennis Lynch. Lynch did go 3 for 5, but missed 2 chip shots. He's 4 for 10 on the season. 40% completion rate. What? How are you a kicker in college football? Same guy who missed the 2 kicks against Central Michigan in week number 1 for San Jose State. This dude used to kick at USC. And I mean, if I'm San Jose State, I'm finding a new kicker immediately. Anyways, San Jose State takes on the New Mexico Lobos. New Mexico can expect a pass-heavy approach, and I was down on San Jose State going into the Stanford game because they went down to the wire with Joshua Wood and the Idaho Vandals. But then they come back and play a super competitive game against Stanford, and here you go, you start Mountain West play. I think the Spartans are dangerous now in Mountain West play. I mean, I know they're 1-3, but they are not a bad 1-3 at all. New Mexico is 2-2. Sorry, they're 3-1, beating the 2-2 New Mexico State Aggies last week. And New Mexico, I've said it before, they've done a really good job replacing that core they had last season. Eli Sanders, Devin Dampier, Luke Weissong, they have replaced all those guys. And is Jack Lane as good as Devin Dampier is? No, but Jack Lane's had a really good 2025 so far. Again, the Lobos' only loss this season is week 1 at the Big House against Michigan. I mean, you can't ask for a better season out of Jack Lane, who, is an Idaho product, right? Joshua Woods now is now the quarterback at Idaho. He replaces Jack Lane, who's a junior and obviously has played at the FCS level for quite a bit. Lane's done a great job this year, but guys, I think New Mexico is going to struggle keeping up with San Jose State. San Jose State's defense is not good. We've been over that. And obviously Stanford and Ben Branson, who at one point in time I coined one of the worst, or if not the worst, power forward quarterback right now in college football, goes out there and throws for 430 yards. So obviously, again, there's a problem with the SJSU defense. However, their pass game looks good. Their offense looks good. I can't hate anymore. I got to go San Jose State with the victory at home. Yes, the Lobos have played fantastic. I wanted to combine spectacular and fantastic. They've been playing spectacularly so far in 2025. Hell, they went to Pasadena and beat UCLA, even though my local high school team could go to Pasadena and beat UCLA. However, San Jose State minus 2.5 is the bet here by far. I don't think New Mexico is able to respond at least throughout the entire game. And I think if San Jose State just takes anything of what they got last week in Palo Alto against Stanford, they should be completely fine against New Mexico. Expect another big game out of Danny Scudero and Walker Aguette as San Jose State coasts to victory minus 2.5 in their first Mountain West game here of 2025. We go on to our next prediction, and we go to Provo, Utah, as the Brigham Young Cougars host the West Virginia Mountaineers, obviously now in Big 12 play. BYU 1-0 in Big 12 play, WVU 0-2 as Brigham Young last week beating Colorado on the road, a very tricky outing for the BYU Cougars. Our best bet of Colorado plus money, on the spread hit Colorado, what we were getting 7.5 points. BYU wins the game by 3. Shout out to Caden Salter and the guys, even though Colorado probably should have won that game if the Caden Salter run at the end of the game going 50 yards into BYU territory doesn't get called back and really ruin any momentum Colorado had going in the fourth quarter, but that's neither here or there. The BYU Cougars are 4-0 this season. It's a weird team, man. It is. It's a lot different from last year. First of all, it's weird that Bear Bachmeier wears 47. I mean, I think I just needed to get that out the way. It's odd watching a quarterback run around wearing 47, and also like Bachmeier does literally everything. Yes, LJ Martin is a threat on the ground too. He's their lead back, but it just feels like Bear Bachmeier is their lead running back. Bear Bachmeier runs the ball 15 times for 100 yards last week against the Colorado Buffaloes. He was very involved in the run game. Hell, he had as many carries as the star running back for Brigham Young and LJ Martin had last week. So that should go to show, again, what Brigham Young is kind of offering. Obviously, Bachmeier can throw too, but for a freshman, he's done a great job this season. Eventually, it's going to catch up to Brigham Young. I'm still not that high on this team, as I did think Colorado was going to have a good chance to beat them last week. Obviously, they covered, and that was the pick we made. But they're not losing to WVU. Oh, hell no. Western Virginia is not going to stand a chance. Guys, look at WVU's last 2 games. They used all of their energy and everything they had in 2025 to just beat the Pitt Panthers. I mean, I'm so serious. Everything West Virginia had went into winning the backyard brawl in Morgantown. Since then, you go to Kansas, you get blown out. You host the Utah Utes. Obviously, Utah coming off the disappointing performance against Texas Tech. Devin Dampier goes out there and throws for 4 touchdowns. Utah beats WVU 48-14. West Virginia's a 2-3 team. The other loss is to the Ohio Bobcats on the road. And now you got to go to Provo? This is not going to go well. It won't. I mean, BYU is going to blow this team out. It's not going to be a competitive game. If Utah's going to West Virginia winning by that many points, what's BYU going to do in Provo? And I think, right, Utah's a better team than Brigham Young. But West Virginia, they have a problem. You can't throw the ball. You're a straight run team. Obviously, with Nico being out, you go to 2 quarterbacks on Saturday. You go to Khalil Wilkins. You go to Jalen Henderson. Neither of them have good games. They both throw for 50% or less on the completion rate. I mean, Khalil Wilkins, I believe, is a true freshman. He's either that or a redshirt, but I believe he's a true freshman. And their other quarterback, Jalen Henderson's a senior who used to be at Fresno, went to A&M, has barely played. Oh, man. Yeah, West Virginia's in trouble. They are bottom of the barrel, in my opinion, right now in the Big 12. Again, everything they had and everything that they resourced everything this season into just winning the backyard brawl and getting back at Pittsburgh for last year for that competitive game in Pennsylvania. They are in a bad way right now. That's all I will say. They are in a horrible way. They've gotten blown out twice back-to-back in the Big 12 this season. And now you go to Provo to take on BYU, a team with a stifling defense, with an evolving offense, with a guy in Bear Bachmeier who's just continuing to learn the quarterback position, at least at the collegiate level. This is going to be a very rough game for the West Virginia Mountaineers. I have to go with BYU at home. Give me the Brigham Young Cougars to absolutely blow out potentially the second worst team in the Big 12. Obviously, still better than OK State, but minus 19.5, that's just not enough points because Brigham Young is going to blow out West Virginia on Friday night in Provo. We go on to our next game on Friday, Mountain West action. We get Mountain West action, obviously, in San Jose, California. We also get Mountain West action at Snapdragon Stadium between the Colorado State Rams and the San Diego State Aztecs. I think this game's going to be close. I will say that right off the bat. I think it's going to be a competitive football game. Colorado State, again, has Jackson Brosao at quarterback now, and I know they were very disappointing last week at home against Wazoo. They only scored 3 points against a Wazoo team that just got embarrassed the week before, at least in a choke job and a meltdown against the Washington Huskies. Colorado State again hosts Wazoo, and Wazoo goes in there and dominates Colorado State as the Rams are able to score only 3 points at their own home stadium. Now they go on the road to take on San Diego State. What a weird game they played last week, right? 6-3 on the road, winning in Northern Illinois. A 6-3 win on the road. Obviously, right, 3 field goals through, for the 3 teams combined. It was a walk-off field goal by the San Diego State Aztecs that won the game for them. As time expired, they chipped in a 25-yard field goal to win the game 6-3. NIU got on the board first, then San Diego State in the second, and the only score of the second half, again, was the game-winning field goal as time expired. What a weird defensive game, especially because what did San Diego State do the week before? Oh, yeah, they beat California. Didn't just beat Cal, they beat them 34-0. Now, this is what I can't expect from this game. 2 good defenses. Because if I can take anything out of Colorado State this year, is that their defense is playing fairly well. Holding UTSA to 17 points, you're going to take that. The Roadrunners, they can move the ball with Owen McCown, okay? Believe you me. Wazoo, not the best offense. Holding them to 20 and holding the Huskies at 38, Damon Williams, Jonah Coleman to 38 points. Okay. Obviously, right, the move has been made from Fowler Nicolosi to Jackson Brosao. I don't think that helps you much. I'll just keep it a buck with you. I mean, you thought, again, Brosao, moving the ball downfield in that UTSA game and him scoring late was going to really help you and feed you into your next game. It hasn't really gone like that. Again, look how they play against Wazoo. They don't score. They scored 3 points the entire game. I just don't expect a lot of points throughout the entirety of this one. That's why I'm going plus 5.5, guys. The way I see it, you get two teams that I don't think are very. I don't know if I can say San Diego State's not very good because they are 3-1, but their only loss, they went to Wazoo and got blown out. They don't. What do they kind of run the ball well. Lucky Sutton is a good back. Jayden Denegal, though, I'm not wowed by what Denegal does in the pocket. He's not a great passer. Averages like 150 yards a game passing wise. They're not that good of an offense. And again, their win over Cal was great, but that was just a lot of self-inflicted mistakes by the Golden Bears, and that's how the Aztecs took over. I don't know. I'm going to be going here. I'm going to go with the plus 5.5 for Colorado State. I just don't think either team gets away from each other. I believe that SDSU is going to win. Would I bet it? Hell no. Do not bet this football game. But for now, yes, I'll go with the San Diego State Aztecs to win, but I'm taking Colorado State to cover. Not one of my favorite games to bet on, but of course we talk about every single game here on the channel as we go on to the Saturday games. 9 o'clock here on the West Coast. It's time for SEC football as the Kentucky Wildcats go on the road to take on the Georgia Bulldogs. Ooh, how disappointing was Georgia last week? That was bad. They could have kicked a field goal with like 6 minutes to go to tie the game, but no, we're going to go for it. We're going to drop a horrible play to the outside. Why Cash Jones is getting the handoff on a 4th and 1 is beyond me. You have Chauncey Bowens, who's ripping 10 yards a carry, but no. We're going to give the ball to Cash Jones out the backfield. Really? All 170 pounds of Cash Jones is going to get the ball? Yeah, great job, Kirby. Great job, man. That was an excellent call. You have Nate Frazier in your backfield too, by the way. Gunnar Stockton can run it too. There's no reason you sent Carson Beck's ass to Miami. But no, Cash Jones is going to get the ball when we need it. When we need 1 yard, we're going to go to the outside. Way to play. Alabama, guys, I know they didn't score in the second half. Alabama in the first half converted all but 1 third down. It was the entire game. Bama goes 13 for 19 on third downs. Again, I believe that second half they went like 1 for 5. So take that how you will. Georgia goes 2 for 8 on third down in the game. And obviously Georgia just couldn't convert while it mattered. And yes, they should have won that game. Again, the 4th and 1 play, the ball up the middle that Gunnar Stockton hit hands on, and it was going to be a easy post route to the end zone. It's dropped. Just unfortunate stuff for Georgia. Your home losing streak ends at Athens, and oh, by the way, you still can't beat Alabama. In the regular season, you can't beat this team. Whatever you do, Kirby, it doesn't matter if it's Nick Saban, it doesn't matter if it's Kalen DeBoer. You can't beat Alabama. Yikes. And it's an Alabama team that everyone wrote off this year. And now look at Bama. They're in one of the 2 biggest games of this week as they host Vandy as they try to get their revenge. Georgia will blow out Kentucky. I'm not too concerned, guys. Kentucky's bottom of the barrel in the SEC. They just are. Obviously, they've made the quarterback change for now to Cutter Boley. Is Boley going to get the start? I don't know. Obviously, Calzada's here, and you've got a couple other quarterbacks you could go to. Again, Calzada got starts to start the season. You have Boley. I don't know who's going to get the start here. I'd assume it's going to be Boley because Calzada did nothing really at all, unfortunately, to move the needle. But my goodness, is Kentucky bad. Last week, going on the road to South Carolina and getting blown out in Columbia by the Gamecocks, losing 35-13 against a South Carolina team that has struggled quite a bit this season. It's been a disappointing year already for Kentucky. And what are you going to do when you go on the road to Athens and take on a Georgia team that's pissed off after losing to Alabama? I don't think the game goes well at all for them. I think that, again, Gunnar Stockton is a big day. And Georgia, again, anybody but Bama, they probably beat on their schedule. Oh, they still play. Oh, man, they still have Ole Miss and Texas. But both those games they get at home. This team's schedule, man, they have all their toughest games at home. Do I think they beat Ole Miss? Yeah, probably. Do they beat Texas in Georgia? Yeah, probably. But again, jury's still out on that. We'll have to wait and see. It's just surprising, though. You go from going to Neyland, beating Tennessee, and then you come back and lose at home to Alabama. Something about that team in Tuscaloosa playing Georgia and the fact that Georgia just can't beat them. Georgia will respond in a big way, though, this week. Kentucky's not good. They can't move the ball. They can only run the football, and once you get behind by too much, that doesn't usually result in too much success. It can be minus 20.5 for the Georgia Bulldogs at home against the Kentucky Wildcats. We move on now to our next game, and we go to the Big 12. Number 14 ranked Iowa State goes on the road to take on the Cincinnati Bearcats. I told you last week I didn't think Iowa State was that good, and, well, they proved me wrong. 39-14 victory for Rocco Becht and Iowa State as they beat up on the Arizona Wildcats. Arizona just could not convert. They put up basically the same amount of yards as Iowa State. They could just not punch it in, and it's tough to come back once you're down 22-0 in the first quarter against Iowa State. Second quarter. Yeah. I mean, it's just difficult. It's difficult to come back from that. Nothing Fafita could do on, obviously late in that football game, as Iowa State already had a controlling lead. Now you go on the road to take on Cincinnati, a Cincinnati team that just beat Kansas on the road. A shocker for Brendan Sorbsy and the guys. And Brendan Sorbsy is just so much matured, so well matured now as a quarterback. He's an evolved quarterback from what we used to get as a freshman back at the University of Indiana. Sorbsy is a much better talent now. He's much more relaxed in the pocket. He's just, and he has a number one too, by the way. But he's much better than he once was, obviously. And I think his second year at Cincinnati has been a big plus. Also, it helps when you have a guy like Cyrus Allen going up for 11 catches and 128 yards. Because, again, that was Sorbsy's number one producer last week against the Kansas Jayhawks. They now get Iowa State, who, has their way on Arizona. Offensively, they had their way. They pounded the rock, and Arizona just put themselves in bad positions. Fafita's 2 interceptions don't help, and obviously, right, Iowa State ends up winning the football game 39-14. I'm just not sold. I think you have to go on the road now to Cincinnati against a hot Bearcats team now coming off the momentum of winning on the road in a tough environment at Kansas, a place that nobody has won at so far this year, beating a very experienced quarterback in Jalen Daniels who can really do it all. Hell, Emmanuel Henderson had 215 yards through the air, at least receiving. And Cincinnati still found a way to win, again, through Sorbsy's 388 yards. I'm hard-pressed to not pick the Bearcats here, and that's exactly what I have to do. I'm going Cincinnati here. I'd be surprised if they didn't beat Kansas. They didn't beat Iowa State. To me, Iowa State, again, Rocco Becht completes 14 passes last week. And again, are a lot of those deep flies, right? They are. 50-yard completions, 40-yard completions, everything downfield. That's great. You got to go to their spot. You got to go to Cincinnati to take on a Cincinnati team right now that's only lost one game this year, and that only loss is to Nebraska. Nebraska at Arrowhead in Kansas City. Neutral site, you lose the game by 3 points. That's a Big Ten school, Nebraska, that took Michigan to the wire. A good Nebraska team who takes on Michigan State later in the week, obviously later in the video. It's not a bad team to lose to. And what has Cincinnati done since? They've won 3 consecutive games against Bowling Green, against Northwestern State, on the road at Kansas. And a lot of that and a lot of their success, to me, has to be directly pointed at Brendan Sorbsy and the job he's done so far in 2025. Sorbsy has been excellent for Cincinnati. I've always thought, again, he's a talent. I mean, I remember when I was watching Indiana games back when I was in Bloomington last year, obviously, before Cignetti. And it was, is it Brendan Sorbsy? Is it Taven Jackson? Well, no, Sorbsy was the better quarterback then. I still believe Sorbsy's better than Taven Jackson, definitely now. As we're going to see that matchup actually next week, I believe. That'll be fun, 2 IU quarterbacks. But Sorbsy's done an excellent job with this team. This is a difficult matchup, don't get me wrong, but I think they're going to beat Iowa State. Iowa State does have a good defense, but at the same time, right, Arizona moves the ball for 400 yards against Iowa State. They just can't convert, and they just can't punch it in once they got over plus territory or into plus territory. I believe Cincinnati will. I'm going with the Bearcats here at home. Great spot for them. Good environment. Minus 120 for the Cincinnati Bearcats to win at home against the Iowa State Cyclones. We now move on to our next game, and we go to the Big Ten. We go to the Big House up in Ann Arbor, Michigan, as we have got the Michigan Wolverines hosting the Wisconsin Badgers. This should be a blowout. I hate to say it, Wisconsin is in that absolute bottom feeder tier of the Big Ten. Does Wisconsin win a game in the conference this year? It's a real question you need to ask yourself, because their schedule's so brutal. Michigan, Iowa, Ohio State, Oregon, those 2 games back-to-back is ridiculous. Then you got Washington. Then you got to go to IU, Illinois, Minnesota. Minnesota is your only winnable game, but hey, the Golden Gophers are 1-0 in Big Ten play. Now, shout out to Rutgers for covering, right? Good teams win, great teams cover. Shout out to the Scarlet Knights. But man, Wisconsin's bad. And I know, again, you have only lost 2 games this year. You lost to Bama and you lose to Maryland, but it's just the way they lost to Maryland. I think Malik Washington's a talent. I think Malik Washington's really good. I think he's going to be a very good Big Ten quarterback. And are the struggles for Wisconsin all their fault? No, they did not expect, obviously, nobody expected the Billy Edwards injury in week number 1. Edwards has slowly made his way back, and we will see who gets the start this week. Will it be Danny O'Neal? Hell, will it be Hunter Simmons, the senior? Or will it be Billy Edwards? I mean, I can only assume it's going to be Billy Edwards finally getting the start, but who knows? It's still an offense, though, that is not very good, and even if this is Billy Edwards' return, okay, or in full return, obviously played some in the Maryland loss, you got to go to Michigan against that defense? Oh, all right. A Michigan team that's only lost to Oklahoma this year. A Michigan team that beat Nebraska on the road, a competitive game against Dylan Royola and the Huskers, while they still go out there and win the game 30-27. They blow out Central Michigan the week prior to that. They have a win over the New Mexico Lobos, who have impressed this year, and hell, have a win over another Big Ten team in the UCLA Bruins. I know they are a joke and shouldn't be a Big Ten team, but it's okay. They should just put them back in the Pac-12 this season. They make it the Pac-3 with them in Oregon State and Wazoo. But Michigan will dominate Wisconsin, man. They will. Bryce Underwood's played well enough this season. He is not the sole reason they are winning. It is that run game. It is the tremendous work that Justice Haynes has done. And I mean, that can be expected, obviously, with the Michigan back coming over from Alabama. Haynes so far, 4 games, 66 carries, 537 yards, 150 of those yards came in last week's game, or 2 weeks game, or 2 weeks ago's game against the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Haynes is solid, the run game's solid, and Michigan's a difficult team to beat. I mean, they 100% are. Wisconsin, to me, they struggle too much offensively. Way too much. Will it be Billy Edwards this week? It might be. I mean, I think whoever starts, you can say this is going to be difficult. Because straight up, it is just a difficult challenge for them. Okay, say it's Billy Edwards. Awesome. Billy Edwards on the road, first start since the injury. It's in Ann Arbor against the Michigan defense. If it's Danny O'Neal, this is a sophomore who had limited experience last season, was the starter at San Diego State, but obviously transferred to Wisconsin to be the backup to Billy Edwards, and now he's playing in front of 100,000 people at Michigan? You go from playing in front of an empty Snapdragon Stadium to this? I mean, I can assume it's going to be Billy Edwards. And Billy Edwards, obviously, he's been around the Big Ten. He was at Maryland last season. I get it. I'd find it really difficult that they're going to beat Michigan and even cover the spread as well. It's 16.5 points. How many points will the Badgers really score? They've been in an inept offense all year long. 17 points against the Miami of Ohio Redhawks. We can excuse the Middle Tennessee game. That's not real. 14 points against Alabama. 10 points against Maryland. They just don't score. I'm going to go with the Michigan Wolverines. They'll completely shut down whatever Wisconsin's got going offensively. Give me the Michigan Wolverines to win at home and to cover the 16.5 points as well over in Ann Arbor. On to our next game, and we stay in the Big Ten. Who told you Illinois was going to get USC? I mean, we had them to cover easy. I told you, Illinois is not that bad. Indiana is just that good. It's what I said. I'm sticking by it. And obviously, it's the truth. Okay? It's the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Indiana's just really good. And, Indiana, they only beat Iowa by 5 points. Oh, no, they're in a dogfight. Name one team in college football that wants to go to Iowa City and play the Iowa Hawkeyes at their place. With that defense, with the way they scheme, nobody wants to play Iowa. That's a difficult game, and that is the most prime example of a trap game that you can get. Going into a bye week, you have Oregon on the other side. You're coming off a huge win against a top 10 team. You go play Iowa. Indiana survived. They should have covered the spread. It is what it is. Illinois now goes on the road to Purdue. This is automatic. I mean, this is completely automatic. 9.5 points, that's it? Are we serious here? Illinois is going to destroy Purdue. Illinois is so much better than the Boilermakers. Guys, Notre Dame scored 56 points against Purdue, and I get it. Notre Dame's going on a stretch right now. They're going on a run where they're just scoring against everybody. I mean, they're putting it on teams, right? I mean, look at their win against Arkansas last week in Fayetteville. That's just what they're doing right now. They're really pouring it on. CJ Carr is playing good football. Good on him. I don't care. Purdue, yeah, they scored 30 against Notre Dame. They still had 56 put on their head. And oh, USC went in there and only scored 33 points. They still beat them by 16 though. And who just beat USC? Right, the Illinois Fighting Illini. Who doesn't have to really worry about that long trip over to Indiana, or the long trip over to Indiana that USC had. Not Illinois. Illinois, gets to go on a plane and travel, I don't know, an hour if that, 45 minutes, 30 minutes over to West Lafayette. It's not that far of a trip. The home field advantage in the travel is not going to be that beneficial to Purdue like it was in the USC game. And sure, did Illinois benefit because of the trip that USC had to make to the Midwest? 100%. I mean, that's what these West Coast Big Ten teams do to themselves. And that was part of their, the unfortunate clause of them joining the Big Ten. It was like, all right, well, you're just gonna have to come out. You're gonna have to come out to the East Coast or to the Midwest every single week. And obviously, it doesn't really matter for Oregon, but USC, right, struggled at Illinois, struggled to get going, and the Fighting Illini won the football game. Illinois is a good football team. They just ran into one of the best teams in the country, and a bona fide top 10 team at that in the Indiana Hoosiers, and a guy who might as well win the Heisman and might be the number one overall pick, obviously, in Fernando Mendoza. It's a great team in Indiana. I'm not going to really talk about them too much because they don't have the game this week. But, I mean, you got three guys on that Indiana team that might be first-round draft picks this season. I'm talking about Mendoza. I'm talking about Elijah Surratt. I'm talking about D'Angelo Pons as well. I mean, they have three legit first-round guys this season for Curt Cignetti's club, and it's insane. I don't know if Surratt's really going to go in the first, but he reminds me of a Mike Evans. He's just not as big, but, I mean, that's kind of what his comp should be. He's great. Guys, Illinois is still a good football team. Do they run the ball that well? No. Luke Altmaier at his best is good. Look at last week. Altmaier, 330 yards against the USC Trojans. You're going to take that. Purdue, again, 2-2 this year. You blow out Ball State in week 1, then you barely beat Southern Illinois. You beat them by 17 points. But then back-to-back losses to USC and Notre Dame, and both those games you did not cover 9.5 points. Guys, Illinois has only got to win this game by double digits. I mean, sign me up. Just because you lose to Indiana doesn't mean that you're not good, okay? A lot of teams in the country lose to Indiana, and what did Illinois do in their last game? Well, they proved that they are still really good because they went out and beat USC, okay? Ryan Brown's capable of the starting quarterback of Purdue, but he just makes too many mistakes, he makes too many errors, and he throws too many interceptions. Luke Altmaier is a very solid college football quarterback, and again, they just ran into the wrong team in the Indiana Hoosiers. Give me the Illinois Fighting Illini to win on the road at Purdue and cover the 9.5 points. We move on now to our next game, and we go to the Atlantic Coast Conference, as we have got the Pittsburgh Panthers hosting the Boston College Eagles. Is the ACC weird or what? Oh my goodness. I mean, I don't understand the ACC. The ACC is the best example, though, of like true conference football, at least in college football right now. It feels like on any given day right now in the ACC, anybody can lose to anybody. The one exception, I believe, is the Miami Hurricanes. However, they are going to get the biggest test and the biggest task they're going to get all year long in 2025, at least in conference play, this week in Tallahassee against Florida State. We will get to that later. Boston College is 1-3. You win week 1 against Fordham. You then go to Michigan State. You lose by 2 points to a good Michigan State team. I'll put it at that. You then go to Stanford, you're fully in control of the Stanford Cardinal just to choke the game away and end up losing it by 10 points. And last week, you're given a layup. California is coming off a 34-0 loss in San Diego against the Aztecs. Cal gets to go all the way cross-country to Boston College. It's the opposite of what Boston College had to do by going to Stanford. What happens? Boston College loses the game by 4 points at home to California, who had just gotten shut out, my goodness, English, by the San Diego State Aztecs of the Mountain West. That's disgusting, Boston College. That's a joke. Turbo Richard tried at a big 71-yard touchdown, ran for 171 yards. You're an embarrassment. You were up 14-0. You lost the game 28-24 because Jaran Kiwe Sagapulete with a huge 51-yard touchdown pass over the top to win the football game to win it by 4 points. You are an embarrassment, Boston College, and I have nothing else to say about you. They're taking on the Pittsburgh Panthers, who are also winless so far in the ACC, albeit one game. But you're 2-2 this year. wins over Duquesne and Central Michigan, a loss in the backyard brawl to West Virginia, and then a loss last week to Miller Moss and Louisville, a team that has been not very convincing. I haven't been over the moon about the Louisville Cardinals this year, but Miller Moss made it look easy last week against Pitt, and it was a come-from-behind victory, obviously, for the Cardinals, as in one point in time, they were down by 10 points. Actually, going into the second half, they're down by 10 points. Miller Moss leads them down the field in the fourth quarter to win the football game. Moss throws for 3 touchdowns and 340 yards, his best game since transferring over from USC, now obviously to the Louisville Cardinals. A disappointing outcome for Pittsburgh, and here's my thing with this game. ACC is weird. These teams are close. I believe Pitt's better, meaning I think Pitt's going to win the football game. Eli Holstein has not taken the next step I thought he was going to take this season, especially how good he was last year in his freshman year with Pittsburgh. However, in a game like this, neither team really has the edge in my opinion. They are both mid. That might sound harsh, but it's the truth. They are both mid football teams in my opinion. Boston College is a great run game when they actually go to it. When they actually give Turbo Richard the ball, he can work. If Pitt actually opens up the offense and lets Eli Holstein throw, they are solid. They are just two teams that are so confusing, and neither of them are just that much better than the other. With that being said, I'm undoubtedly going with the plus 5.5 here for Boston College. Not because I think Boston College is good. I need to get that out the way. Plus 6.5. It's because neither team is going to be able to get away from the other. Neither team's going to be able to. Because both these teams are mid. They're disappointing. I get the game is in Pittsburgh. That's why I'm going with the Panthers. But in terms of the spread, I got to go with Boston College. However, I would not even think about betting on this football game. I would rather bet on cockfighting. Not like actual like game cock, like the rooster fighting. Not anything weird. I hope everyone understands that reference. Like chicken rooster fights. Anyways. Just don't bet on this football game. Next up, we stay in the ACC. How weird is this conference? Here we go. So here's something that just doesn't make sense. And I get it, okay, Angeli's out for Syracuse. And I will get to the Orange later on in the video. They go to Dallas to take on Southern Methodist. But Clemson loses to Syracuse, right? Syracuse last week plays Duke at home and they get blown out by 35 points. I get it. Angeli's out for the year. Clemson just lost that team, and sure, again, Angeli was playing, but you lose to Syracuse by 13 points on your own field? And right, Ricky Collins comes in towards the end of the football game after the Angeli injury, but, oh man, is Clemson horrible or what? You know who else is really bad? North Carolina. I'm so serious when I talk about the ACC, who's good in the ACC? Because, guys, even Georgia Tech, who's supposed to be really good, won by 1 point in an overtime scare against the Wake Forest Demon Deacons, against Robbie Ashford and Wake Forest, who, I get it, can be good at points, and I kind of wish Wake Forest was better at times. I think college football is more fun when the Demon Deacons are good. Shout out to Sam Hartman years, when they actually made the ACC championship game, oddly enough. But Georgia Tech, that's supposed to be one of the better teams, and they barely survived Winston-Salem with the victory. I believe that's where Wake Forest is, right? North Carolina, Clemson, who knows? Guys, ACC games right now, if there's a big spread or I feel like the teams are close, I'm going to go with the plus money and the underdog to cover. Now, would I bet on this game? You're not going to hear me say this a lot this video, and I know I've said it quite a bit so far, but I'm going to stop trying to sound like a broken record. I wouldn't get close to betting Clemson versus North Carolina, because why would you? Who knows what's going to happen? We've got disappointment versus disappointment. Who's going to win? Disappointment. Because think about it, guys. That's all Clemson and North Carolina has been this season. Nothing but a disappointment. So don't bet on this game or expect to get the same result Clemson and North Carolina fans have gotten this season. Prepare to be disappointed. Right? That's all I can say about this game. That's all I can say. North Carolina with Bill Belichick, it's been a failure so far. And sure, give Belichick time to, change the culture and, give him time to rebuild and go out and get, high school players and work the portal. How many years is Bill Belichick really going to do this for, though? We know this is going to his son, Steve, eventually. How many years is he going to really put into this, is my question. It's been a failure. Whether it be Gio Lopez, I think Max Johnson has played fairly well, but they are pretty, fit on going with Gio Lopez because they paid him from South Alabama and he was so good last year over for the Jaguars. But this has been an absolute joke of a season for North Carolina. You're 2-2, but your victories are Richmond, the Spiders, and the Charlotte 49ers. When you've played actual Power 4 teams, you've gotten blown out in both of those games. You got blown out against UCF. You got blown out against Texas Christian. You suck, is what I'm getting to here. You absolutely suck. They take on Clemson, who also sucks. Cade Klubnik has not had the 2025 that people expected Cade Klubnik to have. The Heisman year for Cade Klubnik? Nope. 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions for Cade Klubnik. Clemson's 1-3, and their one win, they almost lost at home in Death Valley to the Troy Trojans. They got to go on the road to North Carolina. You know, somebody's going to be hyped up at Chapel Hill. I don't know if the fans are going to be hyped up anymore, but I'm sure somebody in the building will be hyped up. I guess. I don't know. Who really cares about UNC at this point right now? Sorry. But I can't trust either of these teams to win by that many points. Like, do I think Clemson wins? Yes. Are they going to win by more than 13? Guys, they beat Troy by 11. Is UNC worse than Troy? Possibly. Like, North Carolina sucks, and I don't think Belichick's scheme's working right now in college football. That's neither here or there. I just would expect this game to be close because both these teams aren't very good. Okay? That's the simplest way I can put it. Clemson will win because they actually have an offense. And North Carolina, I don't know what they do well, but I just believe 13.5 points is just too many, especially for a game like this. And it's the ACC, guys. The ACC right now is a cluster, and I don't know what the hell to think anymore about the Atlantic Coast Conference in 2025, especially after Boston College lost to Stanford and Cal on both sides of the country. How do you do that? You lost from coast to coast, from sea to shining sea. Oh, man. On to our next one, we move to a matchup in the Big 12. Speaking of jokes. Now, got to give credit to where credit is due, right? Got to give a lot of credit to the K-State Wildcats. Good on them. They won a football game. Woo. Yeah. Proved us wrong, I guess. We had the UCF Knights. It did not go our way as the K-State Wildcats win the football game at home against Central Florida. They get it done by 14 points. Avery Johnson and company finally win a football game. Taven Jackson and the Knights were just always trailing, and Taven Jackson played a very bad football game. Again, going back to what I said earlier about how Brendan Sorbsby's always been better, and that hasn't been more apparent than right now. I'm not going to tell you, like, this is, oh, K-State's back, and this is what we thought we were going to get out of K-State. However, it is the type of game that at least K-State was sold to us about this season, or we were sold on about K-State, right? Dylan Edwards, 20 carries, 166 yards against his former team. Avery Johnson doesn't have a lights-out day, but it's a good enough day to push his team over the top and ultimately lead his team to victory. They completely stifle UCF. UCF's only offense is Miles Montgomery in the run game, but ultimately, right, Kansas State does enough to win. But now you got to go on the road and take on Baylor, a Baylor offense that went to Stillwater and dominated Oklahoma State. That's the Sawyer Robertson I remember. That's the Sawyer Robertson that I thought was going to be able to go on the road. Or sorry, they were at home for that game where they couldn't beat Arizona State. That's the Sawyer Robertson I remember, though. 400 yards, 4 touchdowns, working the ball down the field, bang, bang, open receiver, thread the needle, find them. I mean, sure, are they playing against a, relatively speaking, FCS team in the Oklahoma State Cowboys? They might, because Oklahoma State sucks. But that's okay. Because Baylor wins it by 18 points, and here comes the K-State Wildcats. Guys, the K-State win looks great last week, right? You put up 34 points. You beat Central Florida. That's awesome. After Scott Frost demanded respect for UCF. We are not Central Florida. We are UCF. And we go into K-State and we get destroyed by a team that sucks. Awesome. I gotta go with Baylor here. How is K-State going to be able to keep up is my question. You answer me that. How is Kansas State going to keep up with the offensive onslaught that Baylor is going to throw at them? Baylor's always going to be moving the ball downfield. They're always going to be throwing it with Sawyer Robertson. And yeah, your run game looks great right now in K-State, right? Dylan Edwards is ripping big carries. But Dylan Edwards' big rushing attempts and big yardage alone is not going to win games for Kansas State. And especially a game like this. Again, no, it can win them games. It can't win them a game like this, though. Because this is all the makings of being a shootout. We know what Baylor does. They're going to score. They're going to put points on the board. And I don't think Kansas State's ready for that. I don't think they're ready for that at all. So I'm going to be going with the Baylor Bears at home in Sawyer Robertson. They are 6.5 point favorites, even better in Waco. They should easily cover, as Kansas State will not be able to keep up on the road against Sawyer Robertson and the Baylor Bears. We next move on to Annapolis, Maryland. We've got two military academies in the Air Force Falcons taking on the Navy midshipmen. Obviously, right? All the military schools eventually play each other, right? Navy, Army obviously get their own week, and Air Force plays Navy, and they will be playing Army later in the season. It's a tradition, and it's one of the better traditions, obviously, in college football. So the first of the military games kick off here again from Annapolis, Maryland, as Air Force heads on over from Colorado Springs, Colorado to take on the Navy midshipmen. I think this game's going to be close. Military games, for the most part, are usually really competitive. It's just, the Air Force games are different because Air Force obviously doesn't get their own week like Army, Navy do, and they're a Mountain West team. They don't play in the American Conference, or they, weren't independents like Army and Navy were up until a couple of seasons ago, and Air Force doesn't really run the traditional Army, Navy-ish offense. Army runs more of a traditional triple option, Navy more of a wing T adapted style. They've changed it over the years. Air Force, they do run a wing T, but they throw the ball a lot more now. And Air Force has been much different recently. Been much different in the last couple weeks because they've been throwing the ball quite a bit. Liam Zarka, last 2 weeks for the Air Force Falcons, has thrown for a combined about 550 yards. For an Air Force quarterback, that's insane. It's insanity. And sure, are some of his balls just long touchdowns with the yards after the catch? They are. But Zarka's played well in his last two. He's played very well in his last two. Both games they lost in Colorado, but losing to Boise 49-37 with 246 yards and 2 touchdowns for Liam Zarka. Against Hawaii, losing by 9 points at home, but 3 touchdowns. 278 yards on 10 completions. Bro is averaging 27 yards an attempt. And again, are all of these traditional drop back and air it out? Obviously, no, it's Air Force. But it's just they're running a somewhat different style now. And obviously, everyone can run too. And Liam Zarka can run as well. Because last week, again, not only does he do it through the air, Zarka also has 140 yards rushing too. He had 110 yards rushing against Boise State. So, since Air Force has made the move over from their previous quarterback in Josh Johnson over to Liam Zarka, they've been much more efficient. They've been a much more high-powered offense, and they've been finding ways to get the ball in the end zone. Again, look at their last 2 results. Air Force drops 37 and 35 in back-to-back games. Sure, they scored 30 against Utah State as well. But guys, Air Force scores. Every single game this year, they've scored at least 30 points. In 2 of those, they scored 37 and 35. The other game that they won against Bucknell, they put up 49 points. That's just what the Air Force Falcons do right now. They just score. You can't put this team away because they're always going to be responding. And this is why I think they stay competitive with Navy. Guys, it's a military game. Navy's a 10.5 point favorite. I don't think Navy's bad at all. I think Navy's pretty good. I don't know if they're going to win the American. We'll see. But this is a 4-0 team, 3-0 in the American Conference with victories over UAB, Tulsa, and Rice. They'll give up points, though. They will. And if you give Air Force room, if you give Air Force opportunity, they will score. They will find ways to score. Blake Horvath has been good in his return this year, obviously, after his... he didn't have the Heisman-esque year that Bryson Daly had last year, but Blake Horvath, was good in 2024. He's returned in 2025, and he's been a very solid quarterback for this team, too. Obviously, you returned one of their lead backs as well in Alex Texa. But I just think I think Air Force is just going to be able to keep scoring. I think Navy wins the football game, but 10.5 points I just believe is too much, considering an Air Force team, right, back-to-back weeks puts up 37 and 35 points. I mean, there's a good chance they put up legitimately that same exact number against Navy. There's an actual shot that they do. I would not be surprised. It's just up to Navy if they can keep scoring. Don't get me wrong. There's a reason Air Force is in all these shootouts because they don't really play defense either, but that's okay. I mean, Navy's going to keep scoring. Air Force is going to keep scoring. And I don't think we get past the 10.5 point mark ever, really. I think this is going to be a competitive back and forth game between two military schools. I got to go with Air Force. Yes, they're on the road, but I still think they go to Maryland and cover the 10.5 points against the Navy midshipmen. We move on now to our next game. I believe we are still in the 9 o'clock hour from two military schools to another, as we've got the Army Black Knights going on the road to Birmingham to take on the University of Alabama Birmingham Blazers. UAB and Trent Dilfer and Jalen Kitna are back after their loss at Rocky Top 2 weeks ago, losing pretty big, obviously, to the Tennessee Volunteers. But if you've seen UAB play, you know what they do. We don't really play defense, but we fire the football every single down, and we're going to let Jalen Kitna air it out. It's what Trent Dilfer's doing. Cool. I mean, I don't mind Trent Dilfer as a coach at all. I think he's a genuine dude who just enjoys coaching college football. I mean, there was that clip of him taking a video for his kid of, of he legitimately, and some people were giving Trent Dilfer crap for this because, it's not, you're not supposed to do this as a coach. But Trent Dilfer legitimately, before the Tennessee game, took out his phone and, started filming the Tennessee crowd before UAB obviously played the Volunteers, and people went at Dilfer for that. I'm like, all right, well, it took him 10 seconds out of his day. What was he going to use those 10 seconds for? Like a minute before kickoff. I mean, what is done is done. Bro's just soaking it all in. I thought it was, I did not mind it. Okay. Oh, he's unprofessional. He has his phone out on the sidelines. It's not like he's, scrolling on Twitter. He's taking a video. Anyways, UAB's 2-2. Again, what they do in the Dilfer philosophy is we're going to air the ball out. We're going to throw it over people's heads. And we're going to let Jalen Kitna shine. That's what we're going to do. I'm not against it. Jalen Kitna, right? Senior, used to be at Florida, now at UAB. He's a guy who is not short of controversy, even though I'm pretty sure he's completely, obviously he's been completely ruled innocent. It's just, how did he even get arrested in the first place for what happened? I'm not going to tell you what happened because I'll get demonetized if I talk about it. It's just, I don't know the story that well. I just know that he got cleared and he was ruled innocent. But how do you even get arrested? How do you even get arrested for that in the first place? That's my question. I don't know. But I got to give Kitna credit. He's been playing good football. And obviously, again, he was deemed innocent, obviously. He's playing college football. Good on him, right? I think this game's closer than you think it's going to be. Do I think Army's going to win? Probably, but I can't even guarantee you that. Like, that, to me, the winner of this game's a coin toss. Look at Army, man. I mean, they're a 1-3 team. Last week on Thursday night, they go to East Carolina, and they get blown out. The Pirates beat them 28-6 at home. This is a 1-3 team. Yeah, they took North Texas to overtime, and Drew Mestamaker in the Mean Green. I mean, that's a solid team. And yeah, Army went out and beat Kansas State, but we know how bad the Wildcats can be. Did we not forget Army lost in week 1 at home to Tarleton State? They are not the same team without Bryson Daly. They are obviously missing the guy. Dwayne Coleman's their starting quarterback now. I can talk about, again, the run game. Dwayne Coleman has more rushing yards than he does passing yards. If that's, a staple of the Army offense. Noah Short's been having another really good year. Hayden Reed's running the ball quite well. But it's just, they're not the same without Bryson Daly. Bryson Daly changed everything for Army last season. He got Heisman votes, top 10 Heisman votes. Daly was a 1,000-yard passer and a 1,000-yard rusher for Army. That's insane. Oh, by the way, 1,700 rushing yards. And on top of that, Kanye Udo had 1,000 rushing yards too. He leaves to go to ASU. How does that happen? I thought you couldn't leave the Army schools, the military schools. And it's not like bro left to, pursue, some high academic standard. Nah, bro said, oh, it's party time. We're going to ASU. We're going to the Harvard of the West. I mean, good on bro. He doesn't really get too much run. Got a lot of run in the Mississippi State game, and he's kind of been relegated to 7 carries a game now. But anyways, I just found it really funny that Kanye Udo goes from the Army to ASU. But you know what? Number 1 party school in the country. Hey, bro knew what he wanted, I guess. I don't know. And obviously, I'm sure it helps playing football at ASU. Hell, if I could play football at ASU, it would probably be a pretty fun place to be. I'll leave it at that. Anyways, I'm taking UAB to cover against Army. I just don't think Army's got the firepower. I don't think Army's got the offense to pull away from UAB and Jalen Kitna. On top of that, guys, I think UAB might win the game. We saw how much last week Army struggled at East Carolina. UAB gives up points, right? I mean, they had a game. Who's Alabama State they played? Where I think it was Alabama State, right? Yeah, they had the Alabama State game where Alabama State scored 42 points to them. Akron, who has a horrible offense with Ben Finley over there with the Zips, scored 28 points on the on the UAB Blazers. That's just what UAB is, though. They don't play defense, and they're just going to score points. So give me that today. No defense, all points on both sides. That, though, does require Army to actually score. Because last week they couldn't do that. So we'll see. I know for a fact, though, UAB is going to show up. And I know UAB's offense is going to show up. Everything else, I don't know. That doesn't concern me if nothing else shows up, though. So I'm going to be going with UAB. Again, if I can rely on anything for the UAB Blazers, it is their offense and Jalen Kitna. Give me UAB to cover 7.5 points at home in Birmingham at Protective Stadium against the Army Black Knights. We now move on to our final game of the 9 o'clock hour. Then we move on to the 10 o'clock hour, and then the 11 o'clock hour, and so far and so forth. We have got the Ball State Cardinals in Muncie, Indiana against the Ohio Bobcats. This is automatic. Give me Ohio. Ohio is going to run through a lot of teams in the MAC this year. They are. Ohio's going to do that, and I thought Toledo was going to do that, but they lost to Western Michigan. Western Michigan, I think this year is just going to be that team in the MAC that is just such a change of pace because they are the low-scoring team and they are the defensive team. And they don't play another MAC game, I guess, until their Ball State game in a couple weeks. But to me, I still believe Ohio and Toledo are the two best teams in the MAC if you take away what potentially West Michigan can do. Oh, Buffalo. I like the Bulls a lot, but their non-con this year hasn't proven to me that they really are a contender. I know they're 1-0 in the MAC, but I'm not officially bought into Buffalo this year like I was last year, obviously, when CJ Akbana was the starting quarterback. Ohio's played good football. They win by 15 points last week against Bowling Green. How do they win? Well, Parker Navarro is that guy. Navarro's good. Navarro is the best quarterback in the Mid-American. I think you're hard-pressed to say he's not. There are good quarterbacks. Don't get me wrong. Tucker Gleason. I can't even. Unfortunately, I cannot say Daquan Finn, but Tucker Gleason's there, obviously. Taquan Robertson is probably the other elite quarterback. I don't think I can name another one. Like, I can name the quarterbacks. I just don't think any of them are elite. Like, Daquan Finn's not really elite. No, I can't say Joe Labus is really that. I mean, Joe Labus is good for Central Michigan, but he's not elite. Right? I mean, like, Labus gets the job done, but he throws for like 50 yards a game sometimes. So those are the only elite guys, at least in the quarterback position in the MAC. And Parker Navarro's really good. Obviously, right? Ohio's played competitive games against really good teams this season. So again, last week, a 35-20 victory over the Bowling Green Falcons. They beat WVU early in the year. They did have that really too close for comfort game against Gardner-Webb where they win 52-35 over Gardner-Webb, which is an FCS school. And they win. They score 52 points, but giving up 35 to Gardner-Webb is not the best. And that's my thing about Ohio is their defense. I don't care. Ball State can't score. That's just not what they do. Kyle Kelly's okay. Koya Ashley's their running back. He's all right. It's just, you're not going to sell me on Ball State, man. You're not. But here's the thing. Ohio's going to score pretty much every single time they touch the ball. I know Parker Navarro, like, you look statistically and say, oh, he only has 200 yards passing per game. Well, no, he makes all the right throws. His defense is pretty good, and, their run game's really good, too. This will be a game where Parker Navarro puts up absolutely insane stats. I'm so serious. I mean, that's the type of game we're looking at here. Guys, if the University of New Hampshire is able to score 29 points on Ball State, what the hell is Ohio going to do to them? And I know UNH, they breed quarterback talent. Like right now they've got a guy, Matt Veza, who's a sophomore who's starting for them. He got to play a little bit last year. Obviously, I'm talking about UNH football right now, the New Hampshire Wildcats, because they were where Max Brosmer, that's Max Brosmer's school before he went to Minnesota and ultimately the Minnesota Vikings this year in the NFL. New Hampshire actually breeds talent. It's a pretty good FCS program. But I don't care. Ohio's a better program. They're a better team than the FCS. I wouldn't call them a juggernaut, but like a very good FCS team in New Hampshire. Parker Navarro should be able to dominate. The run game will be able to dominate for Ohio. I don't care. The game's in Muncie, Indiana. Ohio will dominate the football game. Give me the Bobcats on the road, minus 16.5 against Ball State. Next up, we go to the 10 o'clock hour, ACC football. Oh, my goodness. Guys, Virginia Tech should not be a 5.5-point favorite against anybody. Guys, like, I can throw at you, I mean, oh, this is crazy. Guys, you could get the Bucknell Bison and throw them out there against VTech. I don't know if VTech should be a 5.5-point favorite. They would. I'm joking there, obviously, but like they did beat Wofford by 32 points. They should not be this big of a favorite against any other Power 4 team. Hell no. Why? What have you done to warrant this? What have you done at all? You barely get by North Carolina State, who, oh, by the way, has a win over Virginia, which Virginia's ranked now, so what? I'm telling you, the ACC is so weird, is it not? How does VTech go on the road and beat North Carolina State? I don't care how mid North Carolina State can be. They did kind of smother Hollywood Smothers. You like what I did there? No. And Terrion Stewart got very going in the run game, 174 yards on 15 carries. But that's just a weird ACC thing. Like, how does NC State not beat Virginia Tech at home in Raleigh? I mean, and it's not even like CJ Bailey played that badly either. They just lost. So now VTech's at home against Wake Forest, a Wake Forest team that lost NC State 2 weeks ago in North Carolina, but then almost beat Georgia Tech, should have beaten Georgia Tech. I don't know why Wake goes for 2. Probably because they didn't think they were going to ever get a stop against Georgia Tech because of the way Haynes King was running the ball at the end of the football game and just the momentum that Georgia Tech continued to build upon as the game went on. I guess that's the mindset there. But Wake goes for 2 to win the football game, and they don't get it. Ashford played all right. There was a missed pass interference call that Wake probably should have gotten in the fourth quarter that could have been on their way to ice the football game. Regardless, though, the Demon Deacons lose. Ashford does damage in the run game, obviously, with their lead back in Damon Claiborne. Wake loses. My point with this game is, though, Wake should not be this big of a dog. And guys, again, like I said earlier, we did this with the Mountain West, and I did this with the ACC too earlier. When I get two mediocre teams that neither of them are very good and they're just kind of close to each other, honestly, in skill or just in talent level, I'm gonna take the points. I'm gonna take the points from the underdog because neither team's gonna be able to win by a big margin. That's the way I see this game. Oh, VTech won. They look great. They were able to run the ball all day long. Terrion Stewart had a great day. Yeah, Kyron Drones is still the quarterback. Drones was better last week because the Hokies didn't really ask him to do all that much. And obviously you fire head coach and whatnot. Not new system yet, obviously, but just a new staff, kind of, not really. But, new leadership, I'll say. And good on Kyron Jones. He did everything they asked him to do. But I can't trust this team going forward. Can't at all. I mean, again, who wins the game? I don't know. It is on the screen. I technically have picked Virginia Tech to win. I'm not going to bet on this game, but if you need a pick, take the points. Because odds on, neither of these teams can get away from each other. I'm going to be taking the Demon Deacons plus 5.5 on the road against Virginia Tech. Next up, we go to the only other game at 10 o'clock, at least here on the West Coast, from Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We've got the Temple Owls hosting the UTSA Roadrunners. UTSA's solid. They really are, right? I have highlighted Owen McCown quite a bit, and I think Owen McCown's a very good quarterback in the American Conference. There are a lot of very good quarterbacks in this conference, do not get me wrong. I really like Drew Mestamaker. I know that's kind of a random pull from North Texas, but they're 5-0, so I need to give him credit. I really like what Jake Retzlaff does most nights. Most nights is key. Byron Brown's played really good football this season. I want to cheer for Caden Vetkamp, and I do cheer for Caden Vetkamp. I can't put him in the same tier yet. I think Jalen Kitna at his best is pretty solid. Brendan Lewis, obviously, from Nevada, has played phenomenal football this season for Memphis. There are some really good quarterbacks in the conference. Caden Hauser from East Carolina, how can I forget? Owen McCown's right there. He hasn't shown it recently. Well, last game he didn't show it, but that's a difficult spot, man. On the road at Colorado State, it's cold, and here's the thing. If there's going to come a point this season where UTSA needs to unload Owen McCown. And what I mean by that is there's going to come a point in the year where they will need McCown to win them a football game. That situation just hasn't arose just yet. Last season, guys, Owen McCown threw for 3,500 yards, 25 touchdowns. It's a good season. 63% completion rate. Guy who used to be at Colorado was part of the old regime at Colorado, obviously, when Prime came in, McCown left for UTSA for San Antonio. But McCown's very capable with his arm. The reason his arm hasn't won them games yet is because you have a running back in Robert Henry that is putting up some of the best. No, he's putting up the best numbers right now in college football. It's not being talked about because it's Texas San Antonio, but it's insane what Robert Henry's doing. They've only played 4 games. Some teams have played 5. And the only other running back in college football right now that has more rushing yards than Robert Henry is Ahmad Hardy. Ahmad Hardy's played 5 games, and he has 730 rushing yards. On Robert Henry's average rushing game is 155 yards. No, sorry, it's 160-something yards. Yeah, he's not getting talked about. It's insanity what Robert Henry's doing this year. Last year, this guy last year had 700 rushing yards on 130 carries. Yeah, he's got 624 yards this year on 68 carries. He's been with UTSA his entire collegiate career, and now here's the breakout in his senior season. Ahmad Hardy is good. Ahmad Hardy is good for Missouri. Robert Henry, though, you're not going to find many backs better in college football than Robert Henry right now. We'll see as the season goes on. He's not being talked about yet, though. Very soon, people are going to pick up on, this guy's averaging 160 yards a game on the ground. I'm just saying, right now, he is on pace to run for just shy of 2,000 yards. Just going to put that out there. And it's not like he's doing this against bad teams. Colorado State's got a good defense. He ran for 150 yards on them. At A&M, he ran for 180 yards. Texas State, 160 yards. Not going to make the Genty comp because he's not the same type of player as Ashton Genty. But Robert Henry's a monster and it needs to be talked about. So that's why Owen McCown doesn't have the crazy yardage, because, you have this guy out your backfield. Temple's going to get rolled this week. I took all that time to say Temple's going to get rolled. Temple's got to win over Howard, FCS school, and UMass by 32 points. They went to Massachusetts and beat the Midshipmen, the Minutemen. Oh my goodness. Midshipmen. That's Navy, obviously. I will get to UMass later in the video. They will be taking a BTA beating by Western Michigan. Actually, that game's next. Oh, whoops. We'll get to that. Okay, I'll hurry this up then because I already kind of ruined what I was going to say next. I thought that game was way later in the day. Temple is not ready for this. Owen McCown, there will be a time where Owen McCown needs to fully get unleashed. But for now, yeah, when you have a guy who's averaging 10 yards a carry and running for 160 yards a game, yeah, you keep rolling with this guy, okay? Robert Henry's really good, and Temple's not going to have an answer, okay? Temple gave up 45 points to Georgia Tech, 42 to Oklahoma. Is UTSA like one of those teams? No. UTSA is one of the best offenses right now in the American Conference. They are only, are they 2-2? They are 2-2, right? Ugh. But they're 0-0 in American play. I'm telling you, watch out for UTSA in the American Conference because they can score like nobody else can. They only scored 17 at Colorado State. Well, Colorado State's got a good defense, and it's hard to go play over there. So I don't care, especially for a team from Texas. Yeah, hell no. UTSA dominates on the road in Temple. I know it's kind of a long trip. They should be able to run the ball all day long here, though. Give me Robert Henry and UTSA to cover 6.5 points. So here's the game I was referring to. Yeah, here's the UMass. Keep screwing it up. UMass Minutemen. I give the title of worst college football team to a lot of teams. And I think there's a lot of teams that are deserving of that. I don't know if there's a more deserving team right now than the Massachusetts Minutemen. Like, UCLA deserves that title. I would say Akron deserves it, but they really don't because they played UAB really tight, so probably not. But no, they kind of do after their game last week against Toledo. Shout out Tucker Gleason. He's really good. There's not a worse team in college football than the UMass Minutemen. There's not. And they do themselves no favors with their schedule. But when you lose to the Bryant Bulldogs, I mean, there's no saving you this year. I'm sorry, there's not. Bryant's 2-3 in FCS play. They lost to the Campbell Camels and they lost to Townsend. And just talking about CAA football is going to be excited for CAA basketball. You're not going to want to miss UNC Wilmington versus, I don't know, Townsend on a random Wednesday night in the college basketball season. I cannot wait. We're like a month away from college basketball. I'm so pumped. Obviously, Bryant plays in the AM East, but for basketball, but in football, they play in the CAA because the AM East doesn't exist for football, if I'm not mistaken. But if you're losing to the Bryant Bulldogs, come on. I mean, it's just Temple puts up 42 points in them. I just told you how Temple's not very good. Temple beats them by 32. Bryant beats them by 1 point. Iowa puts up 47 points on them, sure, like expected. And Mizzou beats them 42-6. So Massachusetts, how do you say Massachusetts plural? I don't know. The Minutemen's days of getting BTA spanked every single game by Power 4 teams plus Bryant, I think's over. No, it is. Because they play they're in the MAC now, if you believe it. Or believe it or not, they actually play in the Mid-American now. And in true Mid-American fashion, I said it last week, but in true MAC fashion, it's part of the deal. If you're in the MAC, you got to go play SEC and Big Ten schools to start the season. Have fun with that, and then report back to the MAC later in the year. The Kent State Classic. Anyways, West Michigan will dominate this football team because here's the thing, guys: UMass won't score. They will not score on this defense. West Michigan's defense is so good. Michigan State's offense, guys, this year is not the problem. Aiden Childs is not the problem for Michigan State. Not at all. Could he be better sometimes? Sure. He's not the problem with them. Michigan State scored 23 points against Western Michigan. We talk about good Tucker Gleason is. Tucker Gleason had 15 for 30 passing for 89 yards against Western Michigan. They shut you down. Offensively, are they great? No. Brock Lowry is nothing to write home about. He just gets it done. But West Michigan's defense is so good, and I'm telling you, that goes against the grain right now in the MAC. MAC football, high-scoring, high-flying offenses, and now you get this Broncos team that just bears down and plays physical defense. They win in the trenches. They pressure your quarterback. I don't know. It's interesting. They have a chance to win this thing this year. I'm so serious. And obviously, they're going to go to 2-0 in the MAC with a victory here against UMass. Guys, UMass won't score. So, do you think West Michigan can score 2 touchdowns? Well, they've done that in back. They scored 14 against Toledo, 47 last week against URI, Rhode Island. They should be able to score 2 touchdowns this week against UAss. So, I'm going to take West Michigan to get things done. Give me Brock Lowry and the Broncos on the road in Massachusetts to beat UMass. We move on now to our next game. I believe now we are on the 12 o'clock hour. We are indeed the only game at 12 o'clock before we get into the many 12:30 football games. Oklahoma State on the road against the Arizona Wildcats. Oklahoma State, man. So I forgot. Here's another one of the teams. They should be thrown into the hat with Akron, with UCLA, with UMass. The bottom of the barrel is undoubtedly UMass. It doesn't get worse than them. But Oklahoma State is having as bad of a season as you can possibly have. I mean, you couldn't write up a worse year than what is happening in Stillwater, Oklahoma. This is unbelievable what's going on with this football team. You fire Mike Grundy, who obviously had a very long run here, very credentialed run at Oklahoma State. You fire him for cause, right? You need things to change. So you need to get rid of Mike Grundy. Okay, that's fine. I mean, I get it. You needed something else. Sure, like you're done. Alan Bowman's not taking all your money anymore, so you need to say, all right, now we need Grundy's money. Get out of here. Fine. Okay, you fired your defensive coordinator last week after losing to Baylor and getting 45 points put on your head. You're just not that good of a football team. And again, has it all been ruined by the fact that your starting quarterback this year gets injured in the first game of the season? Obviously. And now you're starting Zane Flores, who just straight up is not ready for this moment yet. He's a true freshman playing Big 12 football. He lost to Tulsa, lost to Baylor last week. He's still learning, he's still adapting, but he's just not ready for this just yet. And it sucks putting a guy like him out there right now because he didn't think he was a starter. He didn't think he was going to have to make starts this year. He thought he might get a redshirt this season. And now he's, being forced into starts now in the Big 12. And if you're a guy like Zane Flores now, you're not going to stay here. Oklahoma State's not going to keep you around because you're not supposed to be their guy anyway. So basically, you just worked your way out of Stillwater now. He's going to go play in the group of 5 probably next season or in the FCS. I mean, watch. He's going to be Idaho's new quarterback after Joshua Wood graduates. Like that's something that legitimately could happen. Or we'll see him at Portland. You do not want to go to Portland State. Whatever. We'll see him in the Big Sky next year, right? We'll see him at Cal Poly. That'd be another brutal place to play. San Luis Obispo is not very good. But anyways, OK State's going to get beat up at Arizona. Arizona is just one of these teams, and this is the same thing with ASU. Like the Arizona teams just play so much better at home. It's night and day what happens away from Arizona and what happens in Arizona. I mean, the Wildcats beat K-State. They beat Hawaii 40-6. Last week they go to Ames and they just get blown out. It's a horrible performance against the Iowa State Cyclones. I mean, it's bad. They can't get going offensively. You're down 22-0 early, and you ultimately lose the game 39-14. Okay. They're not losing to Oklahoma State. They're not losing because Oklahoma State can't score. And I know, again, Arizona's defense can bear down when they need to. And they're going to be fine against a bad offense at that, too. I mean, other than Iowa State, no one's really been able to score on them this year. Hawaii scores 6 points. Weber State scores 3 points. That's going to be Zane Flores' next school. K-State scores 17. Iowa State scores 39. Okay, what's Oklahoma State going to do? Oklahoma State's bad. They can't run the ball because they don't have Ollie Gordon anymore, and it's not like Ollie Gordon had a good end to his run at Oklahoma State. In fact, Ollie Gordon's 2024 was horrible. I mean, that was a big storyline. Ollie Gordon was the number 1 player in the college football video game, and in real life, everyone's like, oh, this is the guy who's a 99 in the video game? If you actually watch college football, you knew how good he was in 2023, but yeah, and Ollie's obviously now like a 3rd-string running back for the Miami Dolphins. Should have gone out after 2023 in the draft. He would have been a 1st or 2nd round pick. It's brutal. Shades of Bryce Love, really, from Stanford, obviously. Man, Bryce Love was a talent back in the day. But Arizona should blow out Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State just won't be able to score. And Noah Fafita at home, he's going to be at a good spot. Arizona will be flowing, and I'll be very surprised if the Wildcats don't just completely put BTA onto Oklahoma State. So give me Arizona at home in Tucson, minus 19.5 for the Wildcats at home against the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Next up, we move on to the 12:30 hour. And, I mean, I feel like this happened last week, too. When I just talk about bad teams, they just keep on coming. They keep on coming and coming and coming. Keep on flowing. Sure, I don't know. UCLA at home against Penn State. How bad is UCLA? How horrible is this team? Here comes Penn State into town. It's only $50 to go to this game. I guess nobody goes to games at the Rose Bowl. Why do I kind of want to go to this? The best game at the Rose Bowl this year. I don't know. Might be worth it. Nah, Penn State's going to win the game by 1,000,000 points, so probably not worth the trip all the way to Los Angeles. Penn State's going to dominate the UCLA Bruins is what I'm getting to here. So again, we talk about bad football teams, and we talked about them in succession back to back to back. UMass, Oklahoma State, UCLA. We're only missing the Akron Zips. Unfortunately, we will not cover them until probably give me like 45 minutes. They're going to come up here. If you skip ahead if you want to see Akron versus Central Michigan. No. What am I supposed to say about UCLA? Oh, they covered against Northwestern. Woohoo. You covered. Nice. Closest game you played all year. You still lost by 3 points. To Northwestern, who's also abysmal. Northwestern, who also can't move the football. I mean, this is not what UCLA had in mind. It's not. Oh, you covered the 6.5 points in Northwestern. All right, hallelujah. But being an 0-4 team, going into the Penn State being 0-4 is not what UCLA thought they were going to be. Don't forget, by the way, they were down 17-0 last week. And it was just, oh, okay, we're kind of fighting, and we score 14 straight to end the game. Nobody cares. All right, nobody cares. This is not where UCLA thought they were going to be. They're going to be without a coach. They were going to be 0-4 going into the Penn State game. They thought their floor was going to be 2-2 going into this. They thought they were probably going to be 3-1, hell, 4-0. And now you're 0-4 going into Penn State. Guys, what game does UCLA win this season? What game do they win? I think it's 0-12. Genuinely, I believe it's going to be 0-12. I don't think they're beating Penn State. Obviously, we know they're not beating Penn State. They're not going to East Lansing and winning. Maryland? No. Malik Washington's too good. They're not going to Indiana. You're not going to Bloomington and winning. Nebraska? Nah, Nebraska's defense is good enough, and Dylan Raiola is actually playing good football this season. You're not going to the shoe and winning. You're not going to Columbus. Washington at home, I don't think so. Damon Williams, Jonah Coleman. And you're not going to USC and winning. They're going to go 0-12. Their shot was last week. And maybe they'll get better as the season goes on. Maybe. Their chance to win a football game was last week. Because their chances to win was at UNLV. It was at home against the New Mexico Lobos. They have not been able to come through. They are an abysmal football team. Defense is all right. Doesn't matter. Well, no, defense isn't very good. It's not. It just looked good because they just looked good last week because they're playing the lowly Northwestern Wildcats. Their offense sucks too. I mean, I don't know how they got this horrible. But that's what happens when you spend $3+ million on a quarterback who's actually not that good. Joey Aguilar is better. He came from the Sun Belt. It shows you how talent is sometimes. I mean, hell, look at, I don't want to go at the guy. Look at Malachi Nelson. Look at Jaden Rashada at Sac State. Like, 5-star guys. And obviously, Nelson's performing a lot better than Rashada is. Rashada just got benched at Sacramento State. But these high-level guys, these these hyped-up guys. Look at Devin Brown. Was Devin Brown 5 stars? He was at least 4. Like, again, look at all these, high-level recruits to just never make it. I don't know if Devin Brown was 4 or 5 star. He was 4 stars. But, I mean, he was next in line after Kyle McCord at Ohio State. Goes to Cal, he loses the starting job to Jerron Kewe Sagapulete. Look at Jaden Rashada. Started as a freshman at Arizona State. Now here he is playing at Sacramento State and got benched. Malachi Nelson's still hanging around, and he's going to play FBS football for his entire collegiate career. He's at a much higher level than these guys, but I don't know. I'm not telling you Nico's going to, fizzle out of college football, but he's nowhere near the talent that UCLA thought he was, and he got carried last year by his defense and Dylan Sampson. I haven't even talked about Penn State, but this team did lose last week. James Franklin can't win a big game. So why is Penn State ranked 7th? Who have they beat? Your best win is FIU. Why are you ranked 7th in the country? How is Indiana ranked below Penn State and Indiana beat Illinois and Iowa? Illinois is ranked 9th and Indiana's 8th and Penn State 7th. What do the Hoosiers need to do? I know what they need to do. They need to go to Oregon and win. That's the only way they're ever going to get respect, is if they go to Eugene and beat the Oregon Ducks. Then are they going to be ahead of Penn State in the rankings? Then are they going to be then are they finally going to be the number 1 team in the country? Even then, they'd say, we're going to give it to Ohio State. I really like to Ohio State beat the Ohio Bobcats. What has Penn State done to deserve this? Don't forget last year, too, by the way. Who did they beat? Everyone's going at Indiana Indiana never beat anybody. Who did Penn State beat in 2024? They beat the same amount of ranked opponents. They both beat 1. Indiana beat Nebraska. Penn State beat Illinois. They did not beat a single... Oh, my goodness, man. Why does James Franklin get all this respect? Why does Penn State get all this respect? Oh, Penn State won a playoff game. They beat SMU at home. Okay. Kevin Jennings threw 4 interceptions, and they beat Boise State. You're supposed to do that. They played Notre Dame close. Fair enough. They still lost. Last week, whiteout at home against Oregon. I know you took it to overtime, and that's the only saving grace there. You don't move the ball for 3.5 quarters. 3 quarters. No one's telling me Drew Aller's an elite product at quarterback. He's a good player. He's not a great player, though. His playoff run last year was great. The Fiesta Bowl against Boise was awesome. He is not elite, though. Not close to it. I'm going Penn State to blow out UCLA because UCLA just is not good, but I am far from sold on the Penn State Nittany Lions right now. Not even close to sold on them. Next up, SEC football. Just means more. It just means more in the South. The Florida Gators take on the Texas Longhorns, the first of 2 back-to-back SEC games we're about to talk about. Obviously, the second one, maybe the most anticipated game of the entire week. No, I think that's got to be the battle in Tallahassee, but I don't know. The game's not as hyped anymore. But the Texas Longhorns go on the road. They go to Gainesville to take on the Florida Gators, and they are only 7.5-point favorites. The so-called 9th best team in the country is only 7.5-point favorites against the Florida Gators, who are 1-3. Wow. And I know for a fact Texas wins this week. They beat Florida. They're jumping Indiana in the rankings, aren't they? They that's what they'll do, and it'll be the stupidest thing ever. I mean, I'm seeing Texas fans. If you're a Texas fan, nothing against you. I have nothing against the Texas Longhorns. I'm seeing Texas fans on Twitter saying, why are we below Indiana? We beat Indiana by 70 points. I mean, it's just like, sometimes the things SEC fans say are just, I don't know. Like, and I like the SEC. I love watching SEC football, but sometimes the takes SEC fans have are the craziest things I've ever seen in my life. Indiana would beat Texas, by the way. And I don't have a doubt in my mind they wouldn't. Okay, I hope that game happens in the playoffs. It won't, because Texas probably won't even be there. This should go to show where Texas is at right now. You're a 7.5-point favorite against Florida. Remember a couple weeks ago when I saw those? I might have been last week. I don't know, 2 weeks ago when I saw the Oklahoma-Texas odds, and I went, "What? Oklahoma is a 5.5-point dog at the Red River game, Red River Showdown against Texas?" Yeah, they took the odds off for that game right now. 2 weeks ago, we could get Oklahoma at a great price. Now they're taking it off. I guarantee you next week, Oklahoma's going to be favored to beat Texas because they should. Because Mateer's the truth. Oklahoma's the truth, and we'll get to them in a little bit because they have to go to the big test this week. That is the Kent State Golden Flashes. Of course, Kent State's still taking their beatings. They're still taking their spankings. Anyways, it should go to show where Texas is at, though. Like, you are a 7.5-point favorite against DJ Lagway in Florida, who's 1-3 with their only win being LIU Brooklyn. You beat South Florida. Sorry, you lose to South Florida. You lose to LSU, and you lose to Miami. Guys, DJ Lagway throws for 61 yards against the Hurricanes. I know how good that team is and how great their defense is this year, but that ain't going to cut it. Lagway throws 5 interceptions in the LSU game. You lose by 10 to Louisiana State, who, talk about disappointing. They're not going to be featured in this video because they don't play this week, but we'll be on Brian Kelly's ass next week. Trust me, we'll be on it. I mean, I'm just disappointed. That's one way to put it. I'm just disappointed in Texas. Everyone tried to tell us, "Oh, look at Arch Manning. Oh, Arch Manning's the truth," and I bought into it. Week 1, hey, I'm not afraid to say it. I picked them to go out there and beat Ohio State week 1. They're not that great. They're not. I mean, yeah, do they go out there and they blew out Sam Houston. Oh, wow. Arch, stares down and starts talking trash to a Sam Houston player who's just trying to get his degree and play football. Come on, dude. Arch better stay in school one more year. I mean, no, he will. He 100% will. Yeah, doesn't have to, but he will. Right? Yeah, no. I'm not sold on Texas, but like if they can't beat Florida by more than 7.5 points, I don't know what they are then. I mean, how are you expected to be competitive with Oklahoma next week if you can't blow out Florida? I know you're going to Gainesville, and I know it's Arch's first road SEC game. It is, but in all fairness, I mean, going to the shoe is way more difficult than going to Gainesville. I know the Swamp's rough. I'd rather go to the Swamp, though, than Ohio State, I think. I don't know. Texas, I mean, my point being here, though, guys, Texas isn't that good. They're not. They're better than Florida, though. I'd say right now, unless something changes and I see some crazy stuff this week out of Arch Manning and the Texas Longhorns, I am undoubtedly taking Oklahoma and John Mateer to beat them next week. We are 100% going with the Sooners next week. But for now, yes, I'm taking Texas to dominate Florida. How is Florida going to move the ball? For as bad as Texas's offense has been, defense has been pretty solid. You hold Ohio State to 14, you'll only score 7. Hold SJSU to 7 points. Hell, Walker gets through for 400-plus yards against the Stanford Cardinal. I mean, you're playing decent teams and you're holding them. It's just your offense leaves a lot to be desired. And Florida's defense actually has played well too, though. I mean, Carson Beck, that's one of the best college football quarterbacks right now. They scored 26 points against Florida. Garrett Nussmeier, I know, has struggled this year, but they only scored 20. However, both those disappointing games that Nussmeier and Beck have against Florida, they still cover against the Gators. LSU wins 20-10. Miami wins 26-7. I'm so serious. Final score of this game is going to be 17-6, in my opinion. That's enough for Texas to cover. Give me the Longhorns. -7.5 on the road. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think it's going to be a boring game. You want the best SEC game to watch this hour? Got you covered. On ESPN, we go to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. This is the game out of the SEC this week. This is one of the games just in college football this week. I know the line is longer than what Texas and Florida is, but no, this is the game. This is the game this week in the Southeastern Conference. Vandy's hot. Bama's hot. Vandy last year beats Alabama. Can they do it yet again? And can they do it on the road? It's gonna be difficult. I'll say that right off the bat. I mean, this is gonna be a tall order for the Vanderbilt Commodores to go on the road and straight up just beat Alabama. Okay? What is more realistic is that they can cover 11.5 points. I don't know. We will see. I have you a pick for every single game. I think Alabama probably covers. I think they probably do. I think Alabama probably wins at home. But Vandy's dangerous. And it's their offense and their scoring is dangerous as well. Guys, I think Utah State's a good football team. And, last week, hey, what I tell you about the Utah State Aggies, they can score. Bryson Barnes and the guys, they put up points. I know Barnes has to come out of that game, and Jacob Conover, the former Brigham Young Cougar, comes into the game late. He went to ASU too. Wow, I forgot about that. But Utah State battles, man. They lose the game by 20 points. How about the Aggies? But Vandy at the same time scores for 55 points. Yeah. Vanderbilt's good. Diego Pavia is having a very good season, right? Last week against Utah State, 321 passing yards, 79 rushing yards combined, again, all-purpose, 400 of those things for Diego Pavia. Last year, right, Bama goes into Nashville, Vandy comes out with a victory. This year, Alabama hosts Vanderbilt, and Bama hasn't been hotter. And when I had my doubts with Kalen DeBoer Alabama football, and I still do have my doubts, obviously, some of those doubts are gone now after the Georgia victory because I didn't see it coming. I know, again, Bama has owned Kirby Smart recently, but didn't see it happening that way. My main issue with Kalen DeBoer Alabama football was that they could not get it done on the road. That was my issue, and that was my problem with them, and you can't trust them to go on the road and win football games. Well, proved me wrong last week. The problem, though, this is where this is important, the problem for Alabama has never been at home. At home with DeBoer, they've been fine. They have. Have they struggled in some games? Sure. But the losses with Kalen DeBoer have all been on the road. He has not lost in Tuscaloosa just yet. His losses are earlier in the season in Tallahassee against Florida State, Vandy last year, at Rocky Top at Neyland Stadium in Knoxville, at Norman, Oklahoma, and in the ReliQuest Bowl, I believe, that's Tampa, I think, right? Against Michigan. That's the Outback Bowl, right? I think it is. I'm pretty sure. Right? So they haven't lost in Tuscaloosa just yet. And I don't think Saturday is gonna be that day. I like what Vandy does. They have a good offense, but we just watched Alabama weave right through the Georgia defense and dominate the Georgia defense at that. There were no answers Georgia had. You could say, oh, Georgia's just not that good. You're hard-pressed to say that. No, Alabama's offense, they're there right now. After looking horrible in week 1, they are back. And yes, Vandy will score. Yes, Diego Pavia is a good quarterback in the SEC, 100%. It's just a lot to ask for going on the road against Alabama, against Ty Simpson, who, we need to say it, should be in the Heisman conversation. He needs to be. Right now, Dante Moore is by far the favorite. Fernando Mendoza, in the span of a week, goes from first to 8th. which is just stupid. He's behind Trinidad Shambliss now. Are we serious? Really? Okay, just wait till Fernando goes to Oregon and beats the Ducks. Just wait for that. Ty Simpson, though, is playing phenomenal football. Bama kind of runs the ball, but no, it's a pass-heavy approach. And Ty Simpson has stepped up to the damn plate this season. He 100% has. Right? Milroe gone. Welcome in Ty Simpson, who's a junior. Guys, Ty Simpson has a good year this year, has a good year next year. He's going to be somewhat of a prized asset in the NFL in a couple seasons. Just saying. Alabama's going to beat Vanderbilt. Vandy's defense struggles enough. It's going to struggle against Ty Simpson and Alabama and Ryan Williams and company. I think Vandy will be able to score, but ultimately, when we come down to get down to the actual pick here, guys, games in Tuscaloosa, it's still Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's defense isn't very good. How are they going to be able to hold Alabama? Exactly. Give me the Crimson Tide at home. Roll Tide. Give me Bama at home to cover 11.5 points and win the game as well. We move on now to our next game, and we go to the highest total of the entire week. The Boise State Broncos on the road in South Bend, Indiana, against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Okay, this is a good one. This is a good football game. Boise State, right, came into the year with higher expectations, came into the year ranked. They are now 3-1, but since losing in week 1 and getting embarrassed on the road in Tampa Bay in week number 1 at South Florida, they've won 3 consecutive outings. They blow out Eastern Washington on a Thursday or a Friday night. I forget which night it was. They go to Air Force and put up 49 points against the Air Force Falcons, and they then go on to beat App State 47-14 last week. Notre Dame, disappointing first 2 weeks of the year. You lose to Miami, you lose to Texas A&M. However, both those teams are very highly ranked, right? A&M is the 5th ranked team in the country. Miami is the 3rd ranked team in the country. I mean, 6th is Texas A&M, but still those are 2 top 6 teams. Notre Dame still 21st in the country after back-to-back victories over Power 4 teams in the Purdue Boilermakers and on the road last week in Fayetteville against the Arkansas Razorbacks. There's not another team on the schedule that Notre Dame shouldn't be able to beat. So here's the thing. I'll get into the prediction and breakdown in a second. It's very realistic now to say Notre Dame's going to go 10-2. I don't know what team on the schedule beats them from here on out. USC, but the game's in Indiana. Other than that, at Pitt could be troubling? Syracuse without Angeli. If it was Angeli's revenge game at South Bend, maybe. With Richie Collins, nope. Stanford, hell no. Hell no. Yeah. Notre Dame's going to go 10-2. The question is that going to be enough to get into the playoffs? It just depends on what other teams are just around and what other teams, are in that little bubble area. So that's just a question for later in the year. For now, yeah, Notre Dame's playing really good football. They're playing phenomenal football. What they do last week to Arkansas is one-way traffic. 56-13. Ooh. Look at CJ Carr. 22 for 30 passing, 354 yards. The 1-2 punch of Darion Price and Jeremiah Love, it's nasty. They just ran into the wrong 2 teams to start the year, and they couldn't convert on an extra point in week 2 in South Bend against Texas A&M. Boise State's a good team. They're a team that is missing an elite running back who can just break through every single tackle and probably playing on Sundays now and had a big game yesterday. Oh, right, they're missing Ashton Genty. They're good, they're not great. I mean, Maddox Madsen's doing his thing, and Maddox Madsen statistically is actually having a pretty good year. Madsen's been pretty good for Boise State. It's just the team as a whole will not be able to keep up, in my opinion, with Notre Dame. We know what Notre Dame can do. They can run the ball down your throat. They can throw it now at CJ Carr. They're not as predictable as they were in weeks 1 and 2, especially in week 1 against Miami. I mean, I was sitting there watching the Miami game, and I could tell you what was going to happen before every play. Oh, here comes quarterback blast for CJ Carr. Oh, here comes a quick tunnel screen. I mean, it was very predictable what they were doing at the beginning of the season. Now it's really not. Freeman's got these guys playing better. The team looks a lot better. And I got to give credit to the Fighting Irish. They should blow out Boise State this week. They should. But Boise's ability to score will keep them in the game at the same time, though. That's my thing. I think Notre Dame's going to score a lot of points, but I believe Boise's going to be able to score points too. 17 is just too many to ask for. Now, if it comes down to who's winning the football game, undoubtedly we're going the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Because Boise doesn't really play defense. But that's the thing. That's Boise's thing. They don't play defense, but at the same time, score a bunch of points. Look at what we've gotten so far from them this year. 49 points against Air Force. You have to give up 37, and we know what Air Force can do. We talked about it early in the video before they play, or when we were talking about their game against Navy. But Boise scores. Look at the App State game. Boise scores 47 points against Appalachian State. That's just what they do. Notre Dame's going to score, but Boise's going to match them. Ultimately, Notre Dame's going to pull away, but 17.5 is just too many to ask for, in my opinion. I think Boise State goes to South Bend, and I think they cover. But ultimately, yes, Notre Dame's going to win the football game. Give me Boise State plus 17.5 in Indiana against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Back to the ACC, the conference that makes 0 sense. Because here comes the ranked Virginia Cavaliers. Has this team been ranked since Bryce Perkins was their starting quarterback? I'm so serious. I don't think they have. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think they've been ranked since Perkins was their guy. Were they ranked in the BJ Armstrong era? I don't think they were. I really don't think they were. So we have to go back. Was that 19 or 18 when Bryce Perkins was there? 19. I believe they were ranked going into the ACC championship game against Clemson at 9-3. They might have been. I'm gonna check right now. They were 23rd. Yeah. The last time Virginia's been ranked is when they went to the ACC championship game to take on Trevor Lawrence, T. Higgins, Travis Etienne, and Clemson. They ended up playing in the Orange Bowl. Actually played a really competitive game against the Florida Gators and Kyle Trask. Bryce Perkins was a dog in college. I loved watching Bryce Perkins play. But it's the first time in basically 6 years since the Virginia Cavaliers have been ranked. I could be wrong on that, but just off the top of my head, I don't remember them being ranked other than when Perkins was there. In Perkins' senior year. So good on Virginia. The victory they have at home against Florida State. It's a revolutionary type victory for that team. I'm so serious. Chandler Morris, UNT transfer, obviously, from the Mean Green, throws 3 interceptions, but it's okay because Tommy Castellanos kind of gets exposed. I don't know. Yeah, Florida State should have the touchdown in overtime, and they kind of got robbed there, but that's neither here or there. I think it kind of just showed us a big problem that Florida State's going to have for the rest of the year, and that's relying on the arm of Castellanos, because I don't think they can do that. He's a great runner of the football. Throwing-wise, though, not sold on Castellanos right now. We'll get to FSU later in the video. They play the game this week, obviously, against the Miami Hurricanes in Tallahassee. That's at 4:30. We are still on the 12:30 hour. Great. I'm here all day, guys. I'm here all day. No, I'm joking. I love doing this. So Virginia's 3-1, right? 4-1. Big victory over Florida State. This team does have a loss to North Carolina State, though, which, again, ACC doesn't make sense. You lose to North Carolina State, you beat Stanford, and okay, you're just going to beat Florida State now. Make it make sense. Your quarterback, I like Chandler Morris. Chandler Morris threw 3 picks. Team still won. Defense came through. They got him the football back, and Morris made the most out of his opportunities. The Louisville Cardinals are undefeated, though. 4-0. And this is the perfect time that Louisville gets a team like Virginia. I mean, guys, Louisville couldn't have asked for a better opportunity. Before going into Miami, before going to the Hard Rock next week, you get a ranked team in Virginia coming into your spot. You have, a bye week, then you get Miami on a Friday night. I mean, if you're Louisville, you could have not asked for a better, approach to that Miami game. You got a ranked team going into the Miami game. You're going to be hyped up going into the Miami game. And oh, by the way, Miller Moss has played 2 really good games back-to-back. He had struggled early in the year against Eastern Kentucky, against James Madison, who's a really good team. But against Bowling Green and against Pittsburgh, Miller Moss has been excellent. 316 yards against Bowling Green, 340 yards against the Pitt Panthers. That's the Miller Moss that was supposed to be the next up, the heir apparent to the next in line to Caleb Williams. That was Holiday Bowl Miller Moss that showed up the last couple weeks. Obviously, USC goes with Jaden Mavia, but right, Miller Moss is looking to, get one back at them essentially for not picking him to be their guy. I think they're going to beat Virginia. Guys, Virginia's on the road. They're really not that good. I think a good team eventually was going to beat FSU, and I've always thought that was just going to be Miami, but I guess FSU again just got before they could get to South Beach. Or sorry, they're playing that game in Tallahassee, but still. How is Virginia going to be able to outscore Louisville? They make too many mistakes. Louisville's the better football team. And yes, Miller Moss is playing just good football now. And that's what we thought he could do at Louisville. He struggled with interceptions early in the year. He's kind of been, he's bounced back. Oh, by the way, games in Kentucky. It's difficult. It sucks for Virginia. You finally get ranked and you got to go on the road and play this team. It's not the squad you wanted to play after your monumental last victory. You wish this was the four guys. Oh my goodness. If Virginia wins this game, are they going to the playoffs? That might sound crazy. Listen to the rest of their schedule. Wazoo at home, North Carolina on the road, at Cal, Wake Forest, at Duke, and the Tech. If they could beat Louisville, which I don't think they're going to. I think Louisville's going to win and cover. But if they can, you beat Louisville, you finish 11-1. Say they lose the ACC title game to Miami, but 11-2 ACC championship loss. SMU got in last year on that same exact type deal. I'm just saying, guys, Virginia could legitimately find themselves in the playoffs if they can win this game. They're not going to, but that's what the stakes we're talking about this week. Anyways, give me Louisville to win and cover. Taking the Cardinals. Next up, we go on to the Big Ten. You want an upset pick? Here we go. Give me the Maryland Terrapins to beat the Washington Huskies. This is a perfect spot for Maryland. I don't know why the odds are like this. Coming into the week, I expected even odds between Maryland and Washington. Perfect. We get this instead. Just, I could not ask for a better line. Plus 175 for Maryland. Just, yep, boom. Here's my slip. I'll be back at the counter on Sunday morning. There you go. Maryland's winning the football game. I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better line than what we got. We get Washington going cross-country. Guys, I don't know if people understand how difficult it is for the University of Washington to go on the road. It's like when the Seattle Seahawks go on the road, but it's much worse because it's college players and they're not, some of them, they're getting paid now, but, that's not their, it is their job now. Yeah. You're not pros, though. Hear me out. You are in the very tip of the top point of the country, right? If you map out the United States, Pacific Northwest, that's Seattle. Maryland's in the Northeast. Well, kind of Northeast. It's by D.C., obviously. It's Maryland. That is a cross-country flight. You just played Ohio State last week and you lost. And, you're not going to, Ohio. You're not going to Michigan. No. You need to go all the way out to the other side of the country. You need to go to the coast. You need to go to College Park. That is a long flight. There are not many longer flights you can take. I mean, if you go down south, if they were playing Miami or Florida or, Georgia or, North Carolina, those are longer trips. But there are not many longer trips than Washington going all the way to Maryland. That's the first of all, right? Instantly, that's what I think of. That's a brutal trip they have to make. Number two, I don't care about the travel. Maryland would beat them regardless. Guys, Maryland's peaking at the right time. Now, will Maryland get God eventually? Yeah. I think that's not going to come for a while. I think they're going to start 7-0. Because if they win this game, I think they're going to beat Nebraska. They're going to go to UCLA and win. I know UCLA, that's travel for them. It is, but nah, Malik Washington and the guys will win that game. They'll finally lose to Indiana in their 8th game of the season. And then it gets really difficult. You got to go to Rutgers, to Illinois, Michigan State. Both at home, but still tougher games, right? I believe they're going to start 7-0. They're going to beat Washington. They're going to beat Nebraska. They're beating UCLA. Am I buying in too much on Malik Washington right now? Maybe. Am I buying too much because of the Wisconsin game and because of how good he looked? 265 yards. The arm on that dude is insane, and it's just he's a freshman and he's playing that well. I mean, we talk about great freshman quarterbacks. Oh, Bryce Underwood. No, look at Malik Washington play football. John Kiwi Segapulete. No, watch Malik Washington play. It's pretty cool what he's doing right now. He's playing great football. And Maryland's undefeated. Sure, again, was the Northern Illinois game impressive? No, but Notre Dame lost that team last year, so don't care. You beat up on FAU. You beat Townsend. You beat Wisconsin last week in Madison. And now you get the Washington Huskies. Washington Huskies team that, again, has to take that long trip. They just put up 6 points at home against Ohio State. You talk about how tough it is to play in Seattle. Well, you lose the game by 18 points and you barely score. Kind of saw that one coming. We had Ohio State to cover. I think Damon Williams is good. I don't think he's that good yet, though. He's still a sophomore. It's going to take time. Is Jonah Coleman a good product? He is. And Ohio State kind of bottled him up. He had 15 carries, 70 yards. Again, a good game, but not one that was enough to obviously get the victory. And that's the thing, right? Better teams are going to beat Washington. Washington, now they've tasted defeat. You've lost one. And now you got to get back on the horse and go on the road to take on Maryland, a team that, you're just playing the number one team in the country. A team that legitimately people around campus at the University of Washington actually thought they were going to win. They thought, okay, this is like our Oregon game when Michael Penix was here. Like this, we got this one. They're not ready to go play in Seattle. They got to go cross country. They're not ready for this game. Damon's the truth. He's never lost, Big Ten game. Actually, no, he lost the Oregon game. But Damon hasn't lost as a sophomore, undefeated. Expected outcome against Ohio State is what I will say. An expected outcome. Now, you have to get motivated to go cross country. I don't know why my camera just froze. That's weird. Hold on now. Bear with me now. Now you got to go cross country. I'll wrap this up so I can fix my camera. You got to go cross country and play this team? Don't like it. Don't like it at all. Oh, my camera's completely just crapped out on me. That's awesome. Never had this happen. I guess we've been going for 2 hours straight. What's going on here? Okay, I'm going to have to adjust this. Hear me out, guys. Oh, here, I'm back. Cool. That was weird. I'm not going to cut that out because, we'll just... Okay. Anyways, this is a difficult challenge is what I'm getting to. It's extremely difficult because you thought you were there. You thought, oh, okay, we're going to beat Ohio State. It's hard to get up in the morning to play this football game. It's hard to get excited about this football game against the Maryland Terrapins, who they got a good quarterback in Malik Washington. The whole world doesn't know about him yet. The whole world will know about Malik Washington after this football game. I'm going Maryland at home, not just to cover. No. Keep your points, plus 175 for the Maryland Terrapins at home against the Washington Huskies. On to our next game, we go to Illinois for the Northwestern Wildcats at home in Evanston versus the UL Monroe Warhawks. You got the Sun Belt UL Monroe going to Northwestern, and UL Monroe is getting 10.5 points. They're getting 11.5 points on the road at Northwestern. And it just makes sense because Northwestern, like we talked about earlier, they are in the world of suck. It's them and UCLA as the two worst teams in the Big Ten. Well, you can throw, I guess, maybe throw Wisconsin's name in the hat. No, UCLA and Northwestern are in a world of their own. It is just bad Big Ten football. I don't believe Northwestern's winning another football game this year other than this week against UL Monroe. They are expected to win, but 11.5 points on the road for UL Monroe is good value. A team that has played very good football this year in the Sun Belt. They have beaten Arkansas State in their only victory so far, their only game so far in the Sun Belt, but I can't ask for more. They're starting quarterback, obviously, in Aiden Armetta. Armetta is nothing but a game manager, and he gets the football to his running backs. Sometimes you can't ask more out of a quarterback. He does his job, and he does what they ask him to do. Make the short completions and hand the ball off. And let his defense work. Because that's what the Warhawks are. They're not the highest scoring offense, but they can run the ball on you. They've got a couple good backs they got. They got Braylon McReynolds, and they've also got a guy who's been coming on as of late in Zach Palmer-Smith, who had 80 rushing yards in their last game. At the same time, McReynolds had 75 rushing yards. So you got two pretty good running backs here at UL Monroe. Armetta's doing a decent job. And for Northwestern, led by former Southern Methodist quarterback, obviously, a guy who got replaced by Kevin Jennings and Preston Stone. Stone's been all right. No, he hasn't been very good. 6 interceptions to 4 touchdowns, 650 yards. He's thrown for over 100 yards, over 150 yards once all year long, and his team's sitting at 2-2 with victories over West Illinois and UCLA. And again, Stone makes less mistakes, I guess, than Amaliva last week. I guess it's just Northwestern got out to such a big lead early, and they just held on for the rest of the game. We look at this now between them and UL Monroe. I expect a low-scoring affair. I think UL Monroe's guys, they're going to have their moments. They will have their spots in this game where they rip off big runs and see a lot of success. And that's why I think the 11.5 points just is not enough. I think that the Warhawks will keep this game close. I think so. Northwestern probably wins it. Again, team with Big Ten talent versus a team with Sun Belt talent. I understand, right? The only game that UL Monroe's lost this season, well, they play a Power 4 team. It's their only Power 4 opponent so far this season, and it happens to be the Alabama Crimson Tide. And I think you and I both know how that game's supposed to go. And well, Alabama wins the game in Tuscaloosa 73-0 to UL Monroe. I mean, obviously, what did you expect, right? And that's okay. UL Monroe is not supposed to win that football game. Armetta has 28 passing yards in that one. Yikes. But Northwestern's no Alabama, and obviously, UL Monroe's looked better since the Alabama loss. Hell, they go to UTEP, they beat Malachi Nelson and Texas El Paso. They go on the road, win the game 31-25. Again, how do they get it done? Well, McReynolds has 110 yards in the ground. And that's what UL Monroe has specialized in and excelled in so far in 2025. Northwestern's offense is not going to blow you away. They can kind of get things done, but it's not a high-scoring offense. It's not a great defense. It's a good defense, but not a team you're going to be blown away by. So that's my exact thing in this game. Northwestern should probably win, but UL Monroe's a lot closer with Northwestern than you would probably think. Oh, it's Big Ten versus Sun Belt. Yeah, but it's bottom of the barrel Big Ten versus very good Sun Belt, and a team in UL Monroe that I don't think they're going to win the Sun Belt West. I believe that's going to go to a team that we cashed on last week with our best bets in the Southern Miss Golden Eagles. But UL Monroe is a good team in the division. I think they're going to play a competitive game against Northwestern, but ultimately I do believe the Wildcats are going to win. Minus 465, don't play that, but for the Northwestern Wildcats, UL Monroe covers the 11.5 points. We move on now to our next game, and we go to a close one on the odds, and ooh, I have things to say about Oregon State. The Beavs. The Beavs go on the road to take on Appalachian State, and oh man. Friday night in Corvallis, Oregon for the Oregon State Beavers. It does not get any worse than that. Shout out to Connor Wagman in Houston finding a way to win in overtime. They win it 27-24. Houston goes to 4-0. Oregon State goes to 0-5. Good on Houston for winning that football game. But how do you lose that if you're Oregon State? How do you lose it? Houston's playing a late night game. This is literally Pac-12 after dark because Oregon State's still part of the Pac-12. So you're still playing Pac-12 after dark. Houston's going all the way up to play you. You have a 24-10 lead with 8 minutes to go, with 6 minutes to go. Houston scores 2 touchdowns in 6 minutes. Game goes into overtime. Oregon, by the way, can't get anything going. They can't hold on to the football late in that football game to at least keep it away from Houston. What happens in overtime? Oregon doesn't convert on 4th down. Houston kicks a field goal to win the football game. Embarrassing. Again, I've said it before after the Fresno State game, one of the worst teams in college football. Now, they hung around with Houston, and I got to give them credit for that. Like, they stayed in the football game. They were competitive against the Houston Cougars, who are undefeated and from the Big 12 have a win over Colorado this year. Houston's not a bad team. But how embarrassing is that if you're Oregon State? I mean, it doesn't get worse than that game. It doesn't. Is Malik Murphy a talent? Yes. Is Cornell Hatcher a talent? He is. I think he's going to get a lot more run over Anthony Hankerson, especially the way he played on Friday night. Trent Walker's a good receiver. Everything else, though, just doesn't really come together for Oregon State. They are a disappointing football team. And that's what I can say. They are a disappointing squad. Now you get to take on Appalachian State, an App State team that has lost back-to-back games, and a team that's been kind of unimpressive in their wins. They beat Charlotte and they beat Lindenwood, but then back-to-back L's to Southern Miss on the road, which is a conference game in the Sun Belt, and a loss at Boise State sends them now to 2-2. I mean, I guess those losses are expected. They're both on the road. App State's a 2-0 team at home this season. Of course, their quarterback, A.J. Swan, hasn't really played that well this year. Swan's just been okay. Last week, only 64 passing yards against Boise State. Again, their run game is where they are best at, obviously. They've got a back who's averaging over 100 yards a game so far. So that's great for the Appalachian State Mountaineers, but it has been disappointing this season from them. But again, are they expected to beat Southern Miss? Are they expected to beat Boise? Probably not. So, here they are against Oregon State. The definition of a disappointment. Guys, I'm sorry, I can't take Oregon State to win a football game right now. I can't do it. I don't care who they're playing. I don't care where it's at. I don't care that it's in, it's at App State. I don't care. It could be in Corvallis. It could be on the moon. I don't care. Okay? I cannot rely on Oregon State to win anything right now. Watch how they play. It's like, teams, they narrowly avoid the jaws of defeat. No. Oregon State enters the jaws of defeat. They try, it seems like, to find ways to lose. They invent new ways to lose on a weekly basis. It is embarrassing what Oregon State is putting on that field right now. It is straight up. I'm not going to mince words. It is embarrassing, the product that is on the field in Corvallis, Oregon right now. You have talent. You just haven't put it together just yet. They're going to lose again. App State's going to beat them. AJ Swan, has he been very mid? Yeah. App State's just going to run the ball over Oregon State. Then what? You're 0-5. You lose to Cal. You lose to Fresno because you don't have a long snapper. You get blown out at Texas Tech, blown out in Eugene. You're up by 14 points with 6 minutes, and you still lose to Houston? Yeah, good luck. You're embarrassing. Give me Appalachian State to win the football game. They'll find a way, and it's going to be because of that run game. The Mountaineers win the game at home in North Carolina. Give me App State as dogs to win the game at home against Oregon State. We go on now to our next game. We are still at the 12:30 hour. Holy crap. Just a lot of games early, it feels like. I mean, definitely. There's not many night games this week. Really weird. Back-to-back weeks with just no night games. Anyways, our next game, we move to the ACC. The Southern Methodist Mustangs at home hosting the Syracuse Orange. Oh, Syracuse. I had a lot of hope for that team. And I'll be the first to admit, again, I'm very willing to, showcase my wrongs and tell you the games I picked incorrectly. I took Syracuse to beat Duke to cover against Duke last week. It didn't go our way. In the JRA, or whatever the hell it is, Wireless Dome, I was thinking, I'm going to go Syracuse, upstate New York, difficult place to play sometimes. I know Steve Angeli's out for the season, but I think, okay, you know what? Richie Collins should be able to fill in, and Richie Collins should be able to do an adequate job. You can tell the offense isn't the same, and Ricky Collins, I've been calling him Richie, my goodness. Ricky Collins, he's no Steve Angeli. It's that simple. He's not Angeli. There's a reason Angeli beat him out in the offseason. There was a quarterback competition in Syracuse, New York, and obviously Angeli won it out. He's out for the season. Now you got to go to Ricky Collins, who's just not on his level. Duke completely goes through the Syracuse Orange, winning the game 38-3. I mean, that game's over by the time they step into the halftime locker rooms. It's 24-3 for Duke. An embarrassing night for Syracuse, and it doesn't get much easier because now you take on a team in Southern Methodist who have struggled this season at points, but still a team that is yet to hit ACC play, and a team that should look at their schedule and say, okay, if we can find a way to just beat Miami, we are going to the ACC championship game with a chance to go back to the playoffs. Because that's how college football is now, and I'm not against it. It gives teams something to play for. It makes the conference championships mean everything. But if you're SMU right now, you did go 2-2 to start the year. You lose to Baylor in a war that you should have won, that shouldn't even gone to overtime, but it does, and you can't convert, and Baylor does. You lose to Texas Christian on the road. You beat East Texas A&M and Missouri State on the road. Good for you. But you still have a newfound life now in the ACC. And you look at the first 4 games they play in ACC play, they should win every single one. They should beat Syracuse. They will beat Stanford. They should go to Clemson and win, and they should go to Wake Forest and win. And then your toughest game, you get at home. Miami comes to Dallas. I'm not saying they're going to beat the Hurricanes because Miami knows how to win a shootout. Trust me, they do. Watch the Notre Dame game, and they've done it for years now. It's just what Miami does. But SMU is going to get a chance. This is the first step into getting that chance and having a chance to potentially be right there in the ACC in 2025. There's no concern for me that they're not going to beat Syracuse, and I think they cover fairly easily. If Duke's going to Syracuse and to New York and beating that team by 35 points, what's going to happen when you take Syracuse out of the dome, put them in Dallas, Texas, and play them against SMU? What's going to happen? Kevin Jennings is going to throw for 300-plus yards. SMU's offense is going to have their way. And what is going to happen is to Ricky Collins and the Syracuse offense. Again, they are go, go, go. We are always pushing a pace. Again, we are always, get on the ball. We're always running. I don't know if that's really going to work in this game. I don't know if it's going to work when you're just down by a lot in this one like they were last week against Duke. I expect them to be down quite a bit in this game against Southern Methodist. So I'm gonna go with the SMU Mustangs at home against the Syracuse Orange. I hate to say it, I think it's one-way traffic. I don't think the game's going to be all that competitive. I think, SMU coming off a bye, This is not where they want to be at this season. Like, let's just say that straight up. They do not want to be in this spot. They thought they were going to be at least 3-1. Probably thought being a playoff team last year, they were going to be 4-0. But you got to make the most out of this opportunity now, right? And I believe they are going to come through and cash in here. They are going to dominate the Syracuse Orange on a backup quarterback and a team that could not get a stop last game against Darian Mensah and Nate Shepard from Duke. This should be a dominant performance for the Southern Methodist Mustangs at home. I'm taking SMU to cover 16.5 points against the Syracuse Orange. We move on now to the G5 as we've got a plethora of G5 games here. Let's kick things off with UConn at home against Florida International. I'm sorry, I don't think FIU is good at all. We have faded FIU quite a bit. Didn't go our way with Caden Vetkamp in Florida Atlantic a couple weeks ago, but 2 weeks ago, Delaware goes into FIU, and we accurately predicted that one, right? We had the Blue Hens to go into Florida International, or going to Miami and Pitbull Stadium and beat the FIU Panthers. FIU now has to go on the road to take on Joe Fagano and the UConn Huskies, a good football team. A good football team that, right, is an independent that they know they're not making the playoffs. Obviously, they can't get there, really. But a team that just schedules tough teams throughout the season and will catch you by surprise. Because you go into UConn games thinking, okay, non-con game, especially middle of the year, too. This is where UConn gets you. Middle of the year, non-conference game, not expecting much, and boom, UConn punches you in the mouth. They run the ball down your throat. They've got a really good running back, of course. They got a good quarterback in Fagano. Cam Edwards is a good running back who has over 500 yards this season. He's been with UConn his entire collegiate career. He's going to run the ball right. They're going to run the ball right at you, and they're going to make you tackle Edwards. They've got a good receiver, too, in Skylar Bell, who's got 500 yards so far this season. He's been excellent. Multiple 100-plus receiving yard days so far this year for Skylar Bell. And FIU's got to go on the road to play this team. It's a difficult ask. 8.5 points is quite a bit, especially for UConn. Again, this is a 3-2 team this year. Wins over Central Connecticut, Ball State, and Buffalo, and losses both in overtime to the Syracuse Orange on the road and to the Delaware Blue Hens on the road in Delaware as well. However, this team is pretty solid, and they're coming together right now. Also, they don't really lose at home. They don't. Playing UConn non-con in Connecticut, it's a difficult ask. I mean, they lost at home one time all year last year, and they played a competitive game that they just lost to Wake Forest, and Fagano was hurt. They were playing their backup quarterback still in Nick Evers for that game. Difficult situation. And that's an ACC squad in Wake Forest that beat them. I don't expect FIU to stand a chance. Keon Jenkins, I think Keon Jenkins is okay. I think the rest of the team isn't. They're running... Kajan Owens is a solid running back, but I mean, I don't like their defense. I don't like the offense besides just the quarterback and their running back. Like, I'm not wowed by their receiving core. None of their receivers really just stand out to me. Not to say that they're not good, but it's just nobody. I don't look at the receiving core and say, wow, oh, they got this guy. It's just not how it works. I got to go with UConn here. It's difficult for FIU to go on the road and play this team. I don't think Keon Jenkins is going to have the heroics to go win this football game. And UConn has showed, again, the Buffalo victory is huge. Guys, going on the road and beating Buffalo is a big accomplishment. Buffalo's a good football team. I say it all the time, they don't have Agbana anymore. Well, the guys that made that team special last year, too, alongside Agbana, are still there. Victor Snow, Al-J Henderson. They've got pieces, right? And UConn goes to Buffalo and beats that football team. Going to Buffalo is tough. It's cold out there. Nobody wants to play Buffalo. UConn does. And UConn wins the football game, okay? They will beat FIU in this spot. I don't think Florida International is that good. Obviously, we've picked against them quite a bit, and I'm going to do it again. It's just their offense, again, I don't think they're going to be able to get going. Yeah, they did against FAU, and they beat the Owls. That's because Owens had 180 yards rushing. He had the same amount of yards rushing than Keon Jenkins had passing. I can't go with FIU here. UConn will win, and they will cover at home. Give me the UConn Huskies to win the football game at home in East Hartford, Connecticut. We go on now to our next game out of the G5. We go to a matchup between the Georgia State Panthers and the James Madison Dukes. Well, it's our weekly checkup on TJ Finley. Yep, let's check how TJ Finley's doing right now. Because Finley, who obviously is with his 7th collegiate football program, maybe I'm overslotting by one, but he's been on a lot of teams. It's our weekly checkup on TJ Finley, and okay, nothing much is happening. No, okay, they didn't play last week. But right, TJ Finley's last game isn't great. They play at Vandy, and he's struggled. I don't know why he left Texas State. I assume they didn't want him there and he wanted to go to WKU, and I thought he was going to start at WKU, but obviously he lost the job to Caden Vet Camp very early after week 2. Finley, obviously, this year was not supposed to start the season with Georgia State. I go over this all the time, but he was supposed to start elsewhere, but got kicked off the team because he stole a truck. True story. So Georgia State said, we don't care. Come on down. And here he is. I mean, guys, like on paper, TJ Finley should be a monster. 6'7", 250 pounds. I don't know. He's not that great. He sits in the pocket for too long. He doesn't really read a defense all that well because he just kind of sits there and waits. At Texas State, he was great because they had good receivers and they were better than a lot of those teams that year in the Sun Belt. At least their offense was better than a lot of the defenses they were playing. This week, man, I mean, it does not get much worse than this. You got to play the team in the Sun Belt, okay? I hype up UL Monroe sometimes, and I did earlier. I hype up Southern Miss quite a bit. I like that team. I think the Sun Belt Championship game will probably be played at James Madison against Southern Miss, but there's not a better team in the Sun Belt than James Madison. And it goes to show, too, like, the crazy amount of talent this team has. Because, guys, just 2 years ago, this team was, top 25 with Kurt Signetti. They won the they won the Sun Belt, at least in the regular season because they couldn't qualify to play in the Sun Belt Championship game because of the transition period. But let me just name you some of the guys on this James Madison team 3 years ago who are now stars at Indiana. The main one, Elijah Surratt. I mean, D'Angelo Pons. Both those guys are going to be first-round picks. Tyson Lawton, who was a big running back for them last year, yeah, he's from James Madison. A lot of their big stars, Kalen Black, who's still a factor at Indiana right now, yeah, he's a James Madison guy. There's pieces on the defense, too. I mean, hell, Mekil Kamara, who doesn't play as much as I thought he was going to this year, but Kamara's from James Madison. I mean, there's so many guys who came from this program, and look at them now. Guys, Jordan McLeod didn't go to Indiana, but he's a JMU guy. They just produce talent. And Alonzo Barnett, of course, is the next guy in the JMU, obviously, run of amazing players. And I assume, again, Alonzo Barnett, who hasn't had a tremendous year so far, but if you really unleash him in a Power 4 program, I assume he's going to go pretty far next season as a senior. I would anticipate that. Also, you have Matthew Sluka here too. How can I forget? They play 2 quarterbacks because Sluka is it's a lot of Alonzo Barnett, but Sluka will come in spots, and Alonzo Barnett is their pocket passer essentially, and Matthew Sluka is their runner. Sluka, UNLV quarterback, former Holy Cross quarterback. He left the team last year through the middle of the season at UNLV, and he's found a role at James Madison. Could he have started somewhere else 100%? He should have done that, but that's neither here or there. JMU has found ways to incorporate and include Sluka in their weekly offense. James Madison's going to blow out everybody in the Sun Belt. They're going to blow out a lot of teams. I mean, guys, okay, so their first Sun Belt game, they blow out Georgia Southern. They beat them by 25 points. And Georgia Southern's good. I mean, like, I know, again, they only lost at Fresno. They've got pieces. They beat Jack State in a shootout. They've got players on that Georgia Southern team, especially J.C. French. They've got guys. That's a good win, really good win for James Madison. They blow out Liberty. They don't just blow out Liberty. They blow them out on the road. They beat them by 18 points. Yeah, you lose to Louisville, but we just talked about how Louisville's going to be ranked after this week after they beat Virginia. What does Georgia State have? They've done nothing but lose this season. You brought in a quarterback middle of the season, a quarterback who was charged with I don't know, I assumed he got arrested. He got suspended and arrested from Tulane on a charge of felony theft. Finley claims he was the victim of a Facebook marketplace scam after purchasing what he thought was a legitimate truck that turned out to be stolen. Finley was arrested and booked in April of 2025 on an illegal possession of stolen things with the value of the item exceeding $25,000. He then got kicked off the team and suspended at Tulane. How does he still have 2 years of eligibility? Oh my goodness, he has a COVID year. Oh my goodness, Finley's gonna be back next year at 24. No way. He's going to be back. He's going to be on Team 8 next year. Oh, my goodness. It'll be Team 7. I'm over-exaggerating a little bit. But still, dude, TJ Finley, oh, my goodness. Who was in his recruiting class? He came in at 2020. In 2020 at LSU. Oh, man. Should have gone somewhere better than Georgia State, but it shows you how desperate Georgia State was that they took TJ Finley. Didn't practice in the offseason. Doesn't go to OTAs or anything. Just bring him in. Doesn't come to camp, obviously, because he was dealing with stuff over at Tulane. You know what? Let's bring him in. I think he's a talent. I don't think he's put it together. I'm going JMU to blow out TJ Finley and Georgia State. Okay, and it's crazy to me that TJ Finley still has another year. Is that not insane? JMU minus 19.5. Next up, we go on to the MAC. Let's get ready for some action. The Akron Zips host the Central Michigan Chippewas. Central Michigan is a 6.5-point favorite on the road. That's not enough. I cannot express to you how bad Akron is. Last week, they go to Toledo, they go to the Glass Bowl, and they lose by 42 points. Okay, well, is that just Toledo's really good? It is. Toledo's a good team. They've got a good quarterback, obviously, right, in Tucker Gleason, who only gets shut down against West Michigan, because that's just what that team does. But last week, Akron loses 45-3 at Toledo. It's kind of embarrassing what Akron is. Ben Finley's hurt, so they now have to try playing Braden Rogau or Michael Johnson Jr., the senior quarterback out of the Kings Academy here in San Jose, California. I'm not from San Jose, but oh man, I'm familiar with King. I've played against Kings Academy back in my day. I played against Kings Academy, not once, but twice, but 3 times. Yeah. They don't have a quarterback, really. They're trying with both Johnson and Ragau. They're both not very good. They don't run the ball at all. Their lead running back had 13 carries for 22 yards against Toledo. It's as bad as a football game can get. They score once. They cut the lead to 28-3. They lost the game 45-3. Oh, man. It's bad with where they're at. Oh, they're at home now. Cool. And Akron, the only thing that they have going for them this season is that they played UAB competitively. But we talked about it earlier in the video. Well, UAB's entire thing is that they have a very good offense with Jalen Kitna. They can throw the ball all day long, but defensively, they leave a lot to be desired. And I mean a lot to be desired. Akron only loses that game by 3, but look at all of Akron's results this season. 10-0 loss to Wyoming. They can't score. 68-0 loss to Nebraska. 31-28 loss in Birmingham against UAB. 51-7 win over Duquesne. Awesome. 45-3 loss against Toledo. Yikes, yikes, and more yikes. And now your quarterback situation's up in the air. You don't know who you can start. Are we going to start Rogau? Are we going to start Michael Johnson? We don't know. And you're getting Central Michigan, who's 3-2 this season. Win at San Jose State. Losses at Pitt and at Michigan. But then a win over East Michigan in their last game. And, Joe Labus is kind of like Aiden Armetta. He's a game manager. He's not going to make many mistakes. He's not. And they played 2 quarterbacks. They play Joe Labus. They play Angel Flores. Flores is their runner, and they will both play. Like last game against East Michigan, Labus had 140 passing yards. Flores had 140 rushing yards. That's just what they do. It's like what JMU is. It's Alonzo Barnett, and here comes Matthew Sluka, right? It's an interesting take in it's an interesting strategy, I guess, in the Mid-American. You don't see a lot of teams do it, but good on Central Michigan. The Chippewas are trying to pull it off. I'm going with the Chippewas to beat Akron. Guys, Akron's not going to score. That's the simplest way I can put this. And the line's only 6.5 points. Central Michigan only has to win by a touchdown? Are we serious here? This is a discount, guys. We're stealing with this line here. Absolutely will I take this. 100%. Akron probably won't score. Eastern Michigan's not very good. It's a bad offense. Well, okay, Central Michigan held them to 13 points. Perfect. San Jose State, guys, Walker Agette and San Jose State just put up 30 points on Stanford, and Walker Agette was 20 yards shy of 500. They scored 14 points on Central Michigan. Missed kicks and all, sure, but they scored 14 points against the Chippewas. That's all you need to know. Give me the Central Michigan Chippewas on the road to cover 6.5 points. Akron may not score. They are one of the worst offenses in the country. and it gets even worse with Ben Finley not in the lineup. Good luck at whatever they're going to try this game. Give me the Chippewas. Next up, we stay in the Mid-American. Here are the Buffalo Bulls. We have actually 3 more straight games of Mid-American football. Oh, it's some action, capped off with, you'll see. The last game in this order for Matt Games is hilarious. Next up, though, East Michigan goes on the road to take on the Buffalo Bulls. Buffalo, disappointingly, is 2-3. Very disappointingly. I had such high expectations for this team this season, even without Agbana, and they find themselves now at 2-3, and now obviously Taekwon's out, so here comes Gunnar Gray. Oh man, Taekwon Robertson, I don't think is playing this game. He was questionable going in, or he was doubtful going into their last game. I don't know if he's gonna be back for this one, so they had to play Gunnar Gray, who just didn't do much. 170 yards, touchdown, and a pick. But what happens to UConn at the end of the game after a Gunnar Gray touchdown to L.J. Henderson with a minute left? Joe Fagano drives them into field goal range, game-winning field goal. UConn wins the game by 3 points. I mean, it was too late of an effort, I guess, out of Buffalo. And we saw a very good night on the ground from Lamar Sperling, who... That line, 9 carries, 106 yards. He had 63 of those with a big touchdown. But still, good on him. L.J. Henderson obviously still the lead back. And you still got Victor Snow obviously in the pass game. But a disappointing night for Buffalo. You're now 2-3 this year. But that doesn't really matter because you're 1-0 in the MAC. The thing is, their one MAC win was an ultra competitive game at Kent, Ohio against the Kent State Golden Flashes. Maybe the worst team in all of college football right now. Definitely probably the worst team in college football. Well, good thing they're taking on Eastern Michigan, who's really bad. East Michigan is horrible. They are 1-4. Their only win is over the Louisiana Raging Cajuns. They won that game by 3 points on their weird gray field in East Michigan. Awesome. Their losses are Texas State, okay. Long Island on your own home field, Kentucky, and then at Central Michigan. Just talked about Central Michigan, obviously, but Noah Kim has had an underwhelming season, obviously. Came from the Big Ten, former Michigan State quarterback, now at East Michigan. It's a step down, but it's okay. It's just East Michigan's offense doesn't move the football. Call it what you want. Oh, is it Noah Kim's fault? Is it just they don't really have the receiving core to complement him? I don't know what it is, and I really don't care to say what it is. What I can say is that Eastern Michigan is bottom of the barrel in the Mid-American Conference. You are hard-pressed to find many teams that are actually better than Eastern Michigan, worse than Eastern Michigan. That would be Akron, and that would be Kent State. Other than that, I forget UMass is in the MAC too, so Massachusetts. Other than those teams, I don't really think there are many worse squads in the MAC. I don't think so. Northern Illinois can't score, but I mean, that would probably be like a 3-0 win for the Huskies. Yeah, I don't think there are many other teams that are worse than Eastern Michigan. They struggled mightily against Central Michigan. They went down 14-0 in the first 10 minutes of that game, and obviously they couldn't score 14 points in their own right. Buffalo's going to score. They're going to. I think, especially if it's Robertson back, but I think it's going to be Gunnar Gray again. I don't care. Like, even with Gunnar Gray at quarterback, they're going to be okay. Buffalo's been right there this season. Think about it, right? Week 1, they lose only by 13 points at Minnesota. You lose by 4 points at home against Troy. You're right there in that game. And then you lose by 3 points with a game-winning field goal for UConn. I mean, they've been right there, really, in every single game they've played so far this year. Unfortunately, just the ball hasn't rolled their way just yet. However, there's still a lot to be optimistic about if you're Buffalo. You're still 1-0 in the MAC. You beat Kent State. Was that a too close for comfort game? 100%, but only thing that matters is the win, and you got to win. You got a win in the win column for that game, and you just got to keep winning in the MAC. And again, the MAC is very mid, and especially at the start of Buffalo's MAC schedule: East Michigan, UMass, Akron. I mean, they should be rolling into November 1st at Bowling Green, 4-0 in the MAC, and 5-3 this season. This is just a step towards that. They'll beat Eastern Michigan. Buffalo's defense leaves some to be desired sometimes, but I don't really think East Michigan's able to move the ball on them. Even with Gunnar Gray at quarterback for Buffalo, I got to go with the Bulls to win the game at home from UB Stadium, minus 10.5 for Buffalo. This will be a blowout against a team that just doesn't score and doesn't move the football in the Eastern Michigan Eagles. We go on now to our next game. Let's continue with the action. Let's go to a game that might be super low scoring, but it is what it is, to DeKalb, Indiana, we have the Northern Illinois Huskies at home against the Miami of Ohio Redhawks. Expect no scoring, I guess. I don't know. Miami finally scored. Oh, no, I can't say Miami's a non-scoring team. I just get that mindset with them because of their week 1 game and because of how bad their week 1 game was against Wisconsin. But it's Wisconsin, and I know, again, hindsight, Wisconsin hasn't been great this year, but that's a Big Ten team, and they did cover for us. Shout out to the Redhawks in that game, 17.5? They only lost by 17. Shout out to them. Miami can score. I should take that back. I haven't been impressed by what Daquan Finn has done this season, obviously, and now it's not Daquan Finn because it's Henry Hessen as their starting quarterback. They move on from Finn, just like Finn got moved on from at Baylor, and now Hessen's the guy at Miami of Ohio and Oxford. He's been here his entire career, watched a guy in Finn walk into the building right in front of him, and, well, yeah, it's not Daquan Finn now. It is what it is. I think Finn's a talent. I believe Finn is still injured, but are they going to go? My question is, are they going to go back to him? I mean, Hessen hasn't played bad in the 2 games he started. They probably will go back to Daquan Finn, but he got injured in the UNLV game, doesn't play the Lindenwood game. I don't know. Is he back yet? I don't know. And are they going to start Henry Hessen? Those are the questions I have. So I don't know. I assume Finn will be back, but who knows at this point. Regardless if he plays quarterback, I think Finn's better, but Hessen might be a better thrower over the ball. I don't know. I mean, Finn gives you the dual threat ability, obviously, and he can really take off with his feet. Obviously, it's what made him a lot of money at Toledo and got Toledo to the MAC championship game back in 2023. But Hessen's not horrible throwing the ball either, and they got a really good running back in Kenny Tracy, who's been going off in his last couple of games, back-to-back 100-yard rushing games for him. I look at Northern Illinois, though. It's a team that can't find their way into the end zone and just can't find ways to score at all. Starting quarterback is Josh Holst. Holst is struggling. He's struggling big time. I mean, he hasn't cracked 140 yards yet. And I know, you might be thinking, oh, well, they just don't throw the ball. No, they throw the ball. They throw the ball 20 times a game, and he barely, if ever, gets to 100 yards. Last week, Northern Illinois puts up a big stinker against San Diego State. They scored 3 points all game long. We went over it earlier when we were talking about Jaden Denegal and San Diego State early in the video on the, when we were talking about the Friday night games. That feels like ages ago at this point now. But shout out to you if you've been watching all this time and if you're sitting here watching, Northern Illinois versus Miami of Ohio. But that's a game, right, where NIU just can't get going. They scored in the first quarter, and ultimately, the walk-off field goal and win it 6-3 for San Diego State. Josh Holst, I mean, it's been a rough offensive out. It's been rough. It's been all around just rough offensive outings for NIU. What changes here? Miami of Ohio's defense, they give up a lot of points to UNLV. They give up points to Rutgers. Well, we've seen what happens for them against bad offenses. And yeah, again, the circumstances surrounding that Wisconsin game were weird. Again, right, Danny O'Neal comes in. He wasn't expected to play. He was supposed to be backup all year long for Billy Edwards. And all of a sudden, here he is filling in for Edwards. And, they only score 17 points. But we've seen the Redhawks against a bad offense. And they've been okay. This is another bad offense here in Northern Illinois, but it's not even close to Wisconsin. I mean, this is a horrible offense that doesn't move the football. So realistically, we don't even need that many points out of Miami of Ohio. And I get it. NIU plays great defensively, right? I don't think it's totally fair to say, oh, well, they played a San Diego State team that scored 34 against Cal, and they shut them down to 6. Different circumstances, right? Cal was turning the ball over on their side of the field, but still, defense isn't horrible out of NIU. It's just I feel like Miami is going to find some ways to score, and if they score 17 points, they should cover. I don't know. I mean, if they score, I'll say 20. If they score 20, we'll definitely cover. I don't think NIU is scoring more than 14. So that's how I see this game. I'm going to go with the Miami of Ohio Redhawks. Who's going to start? Will it be Henry Hessen? Will it be Daquan Finn? I don't know. I think I'd rather it be Finn, but ultimately, I think either quarterback can get it done against a very mediocre NIU team who just as a whole struggles to move the football and struggles to score. So give me Miami of Ohio. Next up, we finally have moved on to the 1 o'clock hour. My goodness, all of that was 12:30. Wow. And we told you we had another MAC game, and here it is. I told you we had another one in store. Yep, it's just part of, when you sign the MAC contract, when you sign it, you have to agree we will take a beating against a really good football program, and we are going to get our money. We're gonna go to Oklahoma, and we're going to split half of the ticket revenue. We're going to split half of the live gate because we're doing them a favor by going to Oklahoma and playing. Our guys, we don't care. Have we gone to Texas Tech and played this year and got blown out? Yeah. Have we gone to FSU and Tallahassee and got blown out? Yeah. Let's just do it again. Let's go play Oklahoma. Guys, if you want to see something funny, by the way, because I'm going to spend some of the time talking about Kent State, Oklahoma about this because we know what's going to happen in the game. If you want to see something funny, look at the Kent State Golden Flashes future opponents for next upcoming years. It is hilarious the teams they have to play coming up. 2026 they're going to Ohio State. They're going to Kentucky, to Rutgers in back-to-back years in 2028 and 2030. There's other teams that I don't know. I've seen it once before. I think they're going back to Penn State. They've played at Tennessee before. This is just what they do. They go out there and they just take beatings. It's insane. But yeah, next year they're going to Columbus, and then they're going to go to Rutgers, and they're going to go to Kentucky. Oh man, they're going to get an Alabama, I'm sure, or an LSU, or Ole Miss, or an Indiana coming up. I'm sure Indiana would love to play them. That's just what right up Signetti's alley. Here it is again. Kent State on the road in Norman against the Oklahoma Sooners. Yeah, this is a game to boost John Baytier's stats. That's the only way I can put this game. We've seen Kent State on the wrong end of these beatdowns all year long, and obviously, what do you expect? Kent State's not going to be on the side of the beatdown. Obviously, they're not going to be doing the beating, They got by Merrimack in week 1, where if it's not for a Merrimack mistake at the end of the football game, Merrimack wins against Kent State. Kent State then goes to Texas Tech and loses by 40-plus points. They go to Buffalo, and they somehow almost win, but they lose. They're at home against Buffalo, and then they go to Tallahassee and lose by 56 points. This isn't helping, You couldn't schedule, I don't know, Wazoo? I'm sure Wazoo would split the ticket revenue with you and Pullman. You couldn't schedule Oregon State. You're not going to win that game, but at least it's much more competitive than this. They played 3 ranked teams this year on the road. I'd hate being a player at Kent State. What do you say to your team pregame? Okay, here we go. Guys, we're here at Oklahoma. All right, may have lost to Texas Tech. We may have almost lost to an FCS school. We may have lost to Buffalo, lost to Florida State. But you know what? Tonight's our night. Go show them who we are as Golden Flashes at Kent State. What do you say in that locker room? Because beats me. I'd hate to have that role of having to hype up your team before getting dog walked by the Sooners. So here they are. They have lost in an ACC environment. They've lost in a Big 12 environment. And now let's go to an SEC environment. Let's go play Oklahoma. All this is a John Matier, stat padding game. That's what it is. Oklahoma's really good. They are the 6th best team in the country, 5th best team in the country. Beat Michigan, beat Auburn, 2 layup victories like this one is over Temple and Illinois State. Oklahoma's played good football all year long. They've played clean football all year long. I've been very impressed with John Matier this season. They don't really run the ball that much, which is fine because it just lets Matier throw it, obviously. Matier, the former Wazoo quarterback, has come to Oklahoma. It's the best career decision he's ever made. He's still a junior. He will get looks for the NFL next season, but I think if he comes back next year, Matier is going to be even better, obviously, at Oklahoma. Who am I kidding, though? He's out for this game. I apologize. That slipped my mind. That's fine. Again, it doesn't matter. I totally forgot he's got the hand injury. I think he's going to be back for the Red River Showdown. I think. I don't know. Oh, he's outside chance. Oh, that's not good. I thought he was going to be back for the Red River game. Because I know he had the hand surgery. I'm not going to lie. It totally slipped my mind that he wasn't playing against Kent State. I apologize for that. It's okay. Michael Hawkins is the backup. Michael Hawkins will be fine against this team. It's Kent State. They don't need a quarterback. So this game will not be about boosting John Matier. I apologize for forgetting about that. That's bad. It doesn't matter. Michael Hawkins will dominate this team. That's actually really bad. I forgot Matier was hurt. What do you expect at Kent State? It's just Michael Hawkins will have a day. Michael Hawkins is capable, right? Hawkins got to play a little bit last year. He is a sophomore now, got to play a little bit last season because Jackson Arnold struggled so much at Oklahoma. And obviously, right, Mateer gets injured against the hand injury against Auburn, and Arnold's revenge game, obviously, against the Sooners. It's just all about for Oklahoma. Like, you just got to get through this game clean. You got to blow this team out, and they will beat them by more than 45 points, okay? 7 touchdowns, that should be easy. Guys, Kent State, they'll get lucky if they score once, and Oklahoma will score 10 touchdowns. They'll score 8 touchdowns. They'll score 9. They're going to score 9 touchdowns. Kent State's going to score 1. My guess, like 63-7 final. Maybe. I'm giving Kent a little leeway there with the touchdown. Like, they're lucky I'm giving them the touchdown, too. It sucks Mateer's out, but this is going to give them a chance to, all right, everyone gets to eat now, right? In terms of, like, all right, we're going to see how good the rest of the team is without Mateer, and we have to see what we have available now for the Red River Showdown. That's why the odds aren't available for the Red River Showdown, I assume. I still think, without Mateer, I don't know if they beat Texas. I hope they do. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Yeah, Kent State doesn't stand a chance. This is an embarrassment. Give me Oklahoma to win the game at home and cover the points as well. But don't bet it. There's so many better games to bet on. Next up, Big Ten football. Let's go to Lincoln, Nebraska. The Nebraska Cornhuskers host the Michigan State Spartans. Here we go. Michigan State bye week last week after going to Southern California 2 weeks ago and losing to the USC Trojans. They get a bye week, and now they have to respond and go on the road and play Nebraska, a difficult matchup. And I said this earlier in the video, we were talking about West Michigan, and I was telling you about how much I thought of their defense and how I think they're going to dominate the Mid-American Conference, which is all true, by the way. Like, I believe everything I say about West Michigan. I've been extremely impressed by that team, even without a great offense, and Brock Lowry is just okay. Like, I've been very impressed by that defense. What I said earlier about how, about Michigan State, and that the problem that they have this year is not the offense, which it was last year for most of that season. And obviously Childs was at the front of a lot of conversation about how he wasn't really stepping up to the plate. Michigan State paid him a lot, obviously, to come over with Jonathan Smith from Oregon State. Aiden Childs has played fine football this season. Say what you want about the guy. He's been pretty good. I can't. If I'm Michigan State, I cannot complain about Aiden Childs. I have to complain about the defense. Guys, Aiden Childs in 3 straight weeks has put up 42, 41, and 31 points. It's just your defense gives up 40 to Boston College, 24 to Youngstown State, and 45 points to USC. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. It's a joke. Now, can Nebraska go out there and completely expose Michigan State and work the ball up and down the field all game long? They're going to try with Raiola at quarterback, with Emmett Johnson in the backfield. They're obviously going to attempt to do so. We will see if Michigan State's made the changes yet. I don't care if they made the changes or not. Well, I assume they're going to. I think Michigan State's going to be able to keep up. That might be a hot take because, like, we've seen Nebraska in these games where they beat Cincinnati by 3 points. They beat them 20-17. They beat Michigan. Sorry, they lose to Michigan by 3 points in a competitive game right against Bryce Underwood and the Wolverines in Nebraska. Those are competitive games and back and forth games. Against Power 4 teams, they haven't beaten anybody by double digits. And that's what Vegas is putting this line at. I mean, if you're picking Nebraska, you need them to win by 11 points. I know Michigan State games can get away from them because of how bad their defense is and because their secondary is not very good. They've got injuries in terms of their entire front seven, including all their linebackers. I get that. Still though, I'm looking at the Michigan State offense and the way that Aiden Childs is moving the football right now, the way that he's distributing it. Run game with Mackay Frazier is getting there. Amari Kelly's having a good season. Nick March is playing all right. Krishan McCray, the transfer, one of the only bright spot last year out of Kent State, is here as well. You've got a good tight end, Jack Velling, who just needs to get the football more. I got to go Michigan State here. We took them a couple weeks ago against USC. They backdoor covered. Shout out to the long fly at the end of the game for Aiden Childs airing it out to Kelly for the backdoor cover. They were down 21. They cover and finding a way to cover. But that game was a lot closer, though. I mean, they just blew it at the end. They gave up, back-to-back scores against USC and turned the ball over and fumbled. Not Childs' fault either. I don't think Michigan State's that bad right now. I think they're playing decent football, and I believe they should be able to go out here. I think they should cover against Nebraska. I'm still not sold on the Huskers. Raiola puts up big numbers. They haven't gotten away from anybody just yet, though. Right? Raiola's out here throwing for 300 yards a game, but they're still losing to Michigan. They're barely getting by Cincinnati, and I think Cincinnati's good. We went over Cincinnati earlier, right, and how highly I do think of that team. I'm going to be going with Michigan State here. I'm taking the Spartans on the points. Give me plus 10.5 on the road for Michigan State to cover against the Nebraska Cornhuskers. I think the Michigan State offense can keep up. That's where my head's at with this game. Next up, we go to the Fun Belt. The Fun Belt, Sun Belt, here we go. To Jonesboro, Arkansas. The final game at the 1 o'clock hour. We have the Texas State Bobcats going on the road to take on the Arkansas State Red Wolves. Arkansas State has struggled so much this season, and it's disappointing, right? Because of what, I say this all the time too, because of what Jalen Raynor did last year. It's disappointing. I expected a lot more out the guy. I expected a lot more out of Arkansas State. I thought this team was going to be pretty solid in 2025. Unfortunately, hasn't really gotten that way for this team, right? Arkansas State's a 1-4 football team this year. They're a 1-4 football team who beat Southeastern Missouri week 1, and they lose to Arkansas, lose to Iowa State. The two that suck, though, and I know they're both on the road, but you lose at Kennesaw. You're not supposed to lose that game. And then you lose at UL Monroe. Now it just kind of puts it all into perspective where Arkansas State is at this year. You've got a good quarterback, but a quarterback that can't carry you to victory because it's a lot to ask for. And basically no run game and a below-average defense against Texas State, who may be the best team in the... No, they're not. It's James Madison. Maybe the best team in the Sun Belt West, though. I prefer Southern Miss personally, and Texas State will have to go to Mississippi to play that game later in the season. But Texas State's good. I have spoken at length about how highly I think of their starting quarterback, Brad Jackson. Right? Brad Jackson, freshman quarterback. He's played great football. Their only loss this season is at Arizona State. And I thought that game was going to be more competitive than it was, but you got a good quarterback in Brad Jackson. Bo Sparks, their lead receiver. He's got 370 yards this year, 5 touchdowns. He's been good. Lincoln Pear has been good at the running back position as well. State's going to put points on you. They are. And Brad Jackson, his first year starting, has done everything that they have asked him to do. 52 points on East Michigan in a 52-27 victory. 43 points on UTSA and a 43-36 win. Yeah, you lose in Tempe, but not many ranked teams can go to Tempe and win. And last week, a win over Nichols, as expected, FCS Nichols. They win the game 35-3. Okay. You now get Arkansas State, who is just struggling. Yeah, they put up points, but it's not enough points. And they go out there and teams are able to score 28 on them. Teams are able to get, teams are able to work the ball up and down the field. Same thing should happen here. I'll be surprised if Texas State doesn't work the ball up and down the field the entire game. Because of just the threats on this offense. It's not just the past game at Brad Jackson. They've got a good back. And again, we've talked about Bo Sparks, who is averaging about 100 yards a game right now. They have multiple backs, too. It's more than Lincoln Parr. It's Jalen Jenkins. It's Greg Burrell. Brad Jackson himself, the quarterback, can run, too. It's a lot to ask for Arkansas State to win this football game. They are at home, which does slide in their favor a little bit. I am surprised the odds aren't, or the line is at 12.5, just because games in Jonesboro, Texas State, obviously, they've been good, but I don't know. I mean, they do give up points in their own right. Played UTSA to a close game again. You know how highly I think of that team and their run game, obviously, and the Roadrunners, and how Owen McCown's pretty solid too. But I'm going to go with Texas State. Would I bet on it? Probably not. But I believe the Bobcats are the way better football team. I think Texas State should be able to score more in Arkansas State than other teams have been able to score in Arkansas State. Again, most teams have been capping out at 28. 4 touchdowns to cap out. They won't score more. No, I think Texas State's going to be able to put more on the board. I think they are going to be able to walk into Jonesboro, Arkansas, and cover the points. I'm taking minus 12.5 for the Texas State Bobcats to go to Jonesboro and beat the Arkansas State Red Wolves. We go on now. We stay in the Fun Belts. We go to Norfolk, Virginia. And the Old Dominion Monarchs are very good too. I forget about ODU when I talk about the elite programs in the Sun Belt. Again, I kind of automatically, when I think Sun Belt East, I automatically just go, JMU. Because of how good that program has been and how good that program still is. I need to put some damn respect on ODU's name. Old Dominion right now is a 3-1 football team. They lost by only 13 points to Indiana. Yes, that is top 8 in the country. Indiana Hoosiers. ODU walks into Bloomington and only loses the game by 13 points. Sure, was there a late score in the fourth quarter? Oh, there was, but don't even talk about that. Was their first touchdown the first play of the game? Yeah, but it's okay. They started strong and they ended really strong. That's what the Monarchs did. You blow out NC Central like you're supposed to. You go on the road Friday night at Virginia Tech and you beat the Hokies. And you make the Virginia Tech, you make your in-state rivals kind of. You make Big Brother in your own division implode. They blow everything up after ODU beats Virginia Tech. And then 2 weeks ago, ODU at home, they get the Liberty Flames. Or actually, that was yesterday. Or 2 days ago. Like expected, ODU beats Liberty by 14 points. Now they host the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. The Chants are 1-0 in the Sun Belt. It's a win over South Alabama. And I went over this last week when we were talking about South Alabama quite a bit. And their game against North Texas that they ended up losing. And my point still remains that they lost to UNT and they lost to Coastal Carolina. South Alabama sucks. It's the truth. The Chants were looked at as bottom of the barrel in the Sun Belt. Week 1, they lost to Virginia. Okay, Virginia's a ranked team now, but they lost to the Cavaliers 48-7. Week 2, they play Charleston Southern at home. They host the Buccaneers. You win the game by 13 points against Charleston Southern, but maybe it's like, all right, it's what's acceptable. Not really anything against that, but maybe say, you win the game 33-20. Okay, we can take that. No, you win the game 13-0 against an FCS school. Oh. You lose East Carolina at home. Caden Hauser and the guys walk into Coastal and win the game 38-0. And then last week, you beat South Alabama on the road 38-20, 2 weeks ago. You now go back on the road to Virginia to take on ODU. Tad Hudson has been awarded the starting role now. It was MJ Morris to start the year. Obviously, Emmett Brown was in consideration in the offseason, but unfortunately for Brown, pretty much, I believe, career-ending injury. We definitely know it's season-ending. Likely career-ending injury, which is so unfortunate. It's the brutal side of football sometimes. Now Coastal plays ODU. A tough ODU team. An ODU team, again, that we went over. They keep on winning football games. You got a good quarterback in Colton Joseph who does everything the right way in the Sun Belt. He is a very good passer, and he's an excellent runner, too. And you've got weapons around him. Ja'Cory Thomas is a good receiver. The game's in Virginia. I think you know where I'm leaning with this pick. I got to go ODU. Right? Do I think they're on the level of James Madison? I don't believe so. I think James Madison is better than them, and I would expect James Madison to win the Sun Belt East and go on to the championship game and probably beat a Southern Miss or beat a potential Texas State team in the Sun Belt championship game. But ODU is there. They are. When they play JMU on the road in 3 weeks, that's going to be a battle. That's a clash of titans. I cannot wait for that. But in this particular spot, I am going to go with Old Dominion to blow out Coastal Carolina. Yes, Coastal's whatever. South Alabama is great on the road. But look at what South Alabama truly is. ODU is the better football team than obviously both of them, and they're levels ahead of both those squads too. Old Dominion beats Coastal Carolina, and they cover the 18.5 points in the process. Give me the Monarchs. Next up, we go to the Big 12. Here they are, 2 undefeated teams. Maybe I should be putting more of an emphasis on this game as one of the best games of the week, as the Texas Tech Red Raiders go on the road to take on the Houston Cougars. Obviously, like I just said, both teams are undefeated. Texas Tech 4-0 this year, coming off a big win 2 weeks ago on Big Noon kickoff. They go to Salt Lake City, Utah, and they beat the Utah Utes and blow them out. They beat them by 24 points. Week off last week, and now they are back to take on the Houston Cougars, who we detailed earlier, went to Corvallis and were they were on the brink of losing. You're down 14 points with 6 minutes to go. You still find a way to win because Oregon State sucks. And now here we go. You get a home game against Texas Tech in one of the biggest spots you can possibly get. If College Game Day meant something, they'd go to this game. 2 undefeated teams, but yet I think I have not checked. I'm assuming Game Day is going to Tuscaloosa. I could check real quick. They're definitely not going to Houston, Texas, because that's not what they do. Yep, they go to Tuscaloosa, which I guess it makes sense. Vandy, that's kind of crazy. Vandy's is on College Game Day, but this is the fun one though. Texas Tech and Houston. I mean, two undefeated squads. Now, there's question marks for me. I've looked it up. I don't know who's starting for Texas Tech this week, because Brennan Morton comes out of the Utah game with an injury, and ultimately, Will Hammond, the backup quarterback who got run last year for Texas Tech because of Morton's injuries last year, ends up taking over the game and playing better than Brennan Morton and wins the game essentially. Hammond plays the entire second half, completes 13 to 16 passes, over 160 yards, and Texas Tech wins the game. So what's happening now? I don't know. I do not know. Is Morton going to play? Is Hammond going to play? I have no idea. I assume it's going to be Brenton Morton. I mean, if Morton's healthy, obviously Morton's going to play the football game. Because why wouldn't he? But I don't know, man. There's a chance to Will Hammond, and I don't really think it matters. Because Texas Tech is just that good. Texas Tech does just have that good of an offense. I mean, when Morton's on the field this year, over 1,000 yards, 11 touchdowns, 3 picks. But in the limited sample size Hammond has played, and obviously, again, that's over the course of a couple games, but just in that game against Utah, Hammond throws for 170 yards, 13 for 16 passing, and 2 touchdowns. Again, he outplays Brendan Morton. Will Hammond, in the second half, throws for more yards than Morton did in the first half. And that's a good Utah team and a really good defense. Again, you've heard me talk about them before. I have hyped up the Utah Utes quite a bit this year, right? That's a team that I have been all over all year long for very good reason. Ah, man. Houston, right, undefeated, but should have lost Oregon State. You beat Colorado, awesome. And Connor Wagman, obviously, right, former SEC quarterback, gets pushed out the door, essentially, at Texas A&M. He's done a good job at Houston so far. I mean, he leads his team to victory. Again, wasn't impressive, no, but they found a way to win. So you got to give Houston credit there. Got to. I just feel like Texas Tech's too much. And here's why. Look at how their defense played against Utah. I love Devin Dampier. I love that Utah offense. Shut down. Completely shut down by Texas Tech. And at the same time, they have a high-powered offense who can score on you at all times as well. It's difficult, man. They are a tough puzzle to crack, and they have to be the favorites to win the Big 12. Now, 3 weeks they go to ASU, an ASU team that's now re-ranked after their big victory last week on Friday night. That's a test, and that will be the test, in my opinion, for Texas Tech to see how good they truly are. But you're a top 11 team now, and going to Houston to take care of business. Does it feel like kind of a trap? Kind of. But my point, and the reason why I'm going to go Texas Tech minus 12.5, if Houston's having that much trouble against Oregon State scoring and they have to go to down to the wire and they have to score at the very end of the game, if you're having that much trouble with Oregon State, what the hell is going to happen to you against a Texas Tech defense that shut down Devin Dampier in Utah? Yeah, I got to go Texas Tech here. Again, Utah, it was such a struggle for them offensively. Undoubtedly, I'm going with the Texas Tech Red Raiders to win the game on the road at Houston. And yes, they will cover the 12.5 points that they are having to cover on the road too. Give me Houston. No, to lose. My goodness. They're both in Texas. Give me Texas Tech to cover. That's a bad one. Next up, we go back to the Mountain West. Let's go to Laramie, Wyoming for the Wyoming Cowboys at home against the UNLV Rebels. A good game, and a game that's it's gonna tell us a lot, I think, about the Mountain West. From the perspective of, okay, we've talked about the best teams in the Mountain West today, at least some of them. We've talked, Utah State doesn't play today, obviously, this week, but we talked a little bit about Utah State, talked about Boise, we've talked about San Jose State, who I know, again, they are 1-3, but a team that has the capabilities of being really good. And now we get two teams that are, 0-0, they both are in the conference so far this year, but this is a game that's going to teach us a lot, I think. Undefeated UNLV, 4-0 with their first real test of the year. UNLV is the only team right now that you can say still controls their own destiny to the postseason in the Mountain West. Because every other team has a loss. UNLV did what they needed to do. They scheduled a week non-con, and the one non-con game that they had, they got it at home, and they got to play the UCLA Bruins, and they won it. So they could be this year's Boise State. Now, there are teams out the American Conference that are still undefeated that are going to make it very tough on UNLV to get there, even if they did go undefeated. We're talking about Navy, we're talking about Memphis, we're talking about UNT, and obviously we still have a very good Tulane team, a very good South Florida team. Again, it's going to be hard to not take the American champion going into the postseason. But UNLV would be the one team where you'd have to consider it because of their non-conference win against UCLA and the potential of the fact that they can go to Boise later in the year and take a game off of the Broncos. However, what I mean by this game is going to teach us a lot is how good is UNLV really? Because, yeah, they've won every single game. They go out and they beat Miami of Ohio by 3 points in a competitive game. You win at home against UCLA, but you had a really close game week 1 against the Bengals of Idaho State. You go to Sam Houston, be an 0-4 team. How good is this 4-0 run's my question. And maybe we won't really find that out until they go to Boise, and maybe we truly won't figure this out until they play in the Mountain West title game, where they have to play against a team like Fresno State, who's playing lights out right now. Maybe we just won't know just yet. However, this is going to teach us a lot, because Wyoming's defense is good. It's really good. I don't care, Colorado put up 37 points in them. No, again, look how Colorado struggles at times against that Wyoming team in the first quarter, and look how much Utah struggled in the first half against Wyoming. They have a shutdown defense. Offensively, do they leave a lot to be desired? They do. Look at their first game of the season against Akron. They win the game 10-0, and sure, again, that kind of spells it out for you how bad Akron's offense has been all year long and how they started, and I guess how good Wyoming's defense can be as well. The offense for Wyoming does leave some to be desired. I mean, Caden Anderson's the starting quarterback, and there's really nothing all of that, great on their offense, I'll say that. But they're just a team that it's a do-your-job mindset. There's no real superstars on the squad. There's no Josh Allen, obviously, like back in the day. It's just a team that finds ways to win. And sure, they lost to 2 Big 12 teams in back-to-back weeks. That's expected. Now they host UNLV in Laramie, a team that is going to try to air the ball out on you. Anthony Calandria has had a good start to his season. Calandria last week against Miami of Ohio, and 2 weeks ago against Miami of Ohio, a come-from-behind win for the UNLV Rebels. Anthony Calandria, the former Virginia Cavalier, throws for 300 yards in the air, and UNLV's running back as well, Jaden Thomas, goes out there and runs for over 100 yards too. This is an explosive UNLV offense. It's a good UNLV offense, and if you are going to beat the UNLV Rebels, you best be prepared to score points as well. That's where the difference is made in this game. Wyoming, if they're going to win and have a chance, they need to force UNLV to play their style of football game, which is low scoring, battle in the trenches, battle of field positioning, and punts, and more punts. If UNLV gets anything close to their way, though, I don't think Wyoming, like Idaho State in all fairness, and like Miami of Ohio, can keep up, because they're just not that explosive of an offense. Caden Anderson is not going to be airing the ball out all that much. It's just not what Wyoming does. They have one real target at receiver. It's Chris Durr Jr. Other than that, I don't really love what Wyoming's got going offensively. I think in a game, again, whoever gets to dictate their style of game is going to win. I know the game's away from Allegiant. It's in an outdoor environment up in cold Wyoming. I don't care. I'm taking the UNLV Rebels to go into Laramie and beat the Wyoming Cowboys and cover the 5.5 points as well. Next up, we go to Troy, Alabama, as we've got the Troy Trojans hosting the South Alabama Jaguars. Why is the line only 2.5? Am I missing something here? Because to me, this feels like one of the best bets we can get all week long. Shout out to the best bets video later this week on Friday. Maybe you'll see this game, maybe you won't. And I know Troy's dealt with some injuries. They have a quarterback change, obviously, with Tucker Kilcrease now in at quarterback. The junior quarterback from Brantley, Alabama, was with Troy last season. I believe made one start. South Alabama's not good. And I get it. They've lost to some decent teams. Well, UNT's a really good squad. They're still undefeated, obviously, in the American Conference. They played a competitive game against Tulane, but ultimately, they're a 1-4 team. And yeah, every single game for South Alabama kind of has the same script. The team that they play scores 30 points, and South Alabama kind of hangs around in the football game. They put up multiple scores, but eventually they still lose by 2 scores. It's kind of been the same script almost in every South Alabama Jaguar game so far this season. Obviously missing their starting quarterback last season in Gio Lopez. It is Bishop Davenport now, and Davenport's not bad, but it's not like he can carry this team to victory. And he's really not the main focus of the offense. I would say it's the run game and Kentrell Bullock and even Devin Voisin, their best receiver. But you go on the road to Troy. Troy's at home. This is a division game, obviously, in the Sun Belt West. And I know Troy's, again, got a new quarterback in Tucker Kilcrease, but they're coming off a victory at Buffalo. It's a big win, especially with a backup quarterback going in there and winning that football game. Their defense completely shuts down Buffalo. And I get it. That's the game where Tyquan Roberson got hurt, and that's where Gunnar Gray had to come in. Again, we talked about Buffalo early in the video. That's where that quarterback switch had to be made. But look at the job Troy does shutting down that offense. Even before Roberson comes out, I mean, only 100 yards passing. I get it. He came out fairly early in the football game. But even when Gunnar Gray comes in, Gunnar Gray goes 5 for 13 passing for 50 yards. Aljay Henderson never gets hurt. Aljay Henderson plays the entire football game. 22 carries, 76 yards. Victor Snow, elite receiver in the MAC. 5 catches, 38 yards. I like Troy's defense quite a bit. I do. Their run game, that's what Kilcrease can bring. You get Tay Meadows at the backfield. But when I look at this entire game, yeah, again, the Jaguars can score, but teams always put it on them too. Stylistically, is it a little bit difficult for the Troy Trojans? I would say, potentially, but I'll be very surprised if they don't beat South Alabama. A South Alabama team that you have to think is somewhat demoralized at this point in the season because they have been kind of right there. It's just late in games, they get outplayed. I mean, they were kind of competitive at Auburn, and they lose by 16 points. Last week, you go to North Texas in a game that you're not supposed to win, obviously, with Drew Mestamaker and the Green Wave, and the Mean Green. And North Texas goes out there and finds a way to win and beats them by 18 points. I mean, again, you have to think morale's at an all-time low for South Alabama. Now you got to go back into Sun Belt play. Sun Belt play where, oh, by the way, you've already lost so far this year in the Sun Belt. You lost at home and lost by 18 points at home to Coastal, who's supposed to be horrible this year on a third-string quarterback. Come on now. I mean, I absolutely have to go with the home team here. I'm going to take the Troy Trojans. I think they get it done at home. Minus 140 is very playable. And the money line, minus 2.5 is very playable for Troy. Again, I will put this one in the back pocket. I'll potentially see you later in the week for the same exact matchup. Maybe Troy makes their debut on the best bets later in the week. Again, you'll have to come back to see my final thoughts on that if we do want to include it on Friday. Next up, we go and stay in the G5. The Rice Owls at home in Houston, Texas host the Florida Atlantic Owls. Owls versus Owls in the American Conference. Now, when I talk about elite American Conference play, this isn't entirely what I have in mind, but I think Rice is not bad, is what I will say. I think Rice is an okay team. Last week, covering on the road against the Navy Midshipmen. I think Rice, again, they have a solid core, and I'll just say it right now, their core is solid enough to beat Florida Atlantic. Because Florida Atlantic has been so disappointing to me this season. You roll into this offseason, you get out and you get a prized guy in Caden Vetkamp. Vetkamp had a really good year last year for Western Kentucky. Takes WKU to the COSA championship. And Florida Atlantic has allowed Caden Vetkamp to play his game. Sling it out the entire ball game, pick up a bunch of yards, and obviously just go straight air raid for most of the football game. I mean, Florida Atlantic has a little bit of a run game with Jamari Sands, but for the most part, it is a launch it type of offense where they're going to let Caden Vetkamp throw and throw a lot, which is where you want to be, obviously. If you're a quarterback trying to go to the next level, I mean, hell, look, it worked for Kyle McCord. He got his way onto the Philadelphia Eagles. Look at, obviously, Cam Ward, who's now on the Titans. He did say his team's ass today or yesterday in his press conference, which I don't disagree with him. The Titans suck. But anyways, right, I mean, that's the system you want to be in college, right? Obviously, get as much experience as possible and get so used to throwing the football, obviously, and getting a lot of attempts per game. I mean, that's where you want to be at. So, good move for Vetkamp, and FAU's allowed him to do that, but it hasn't resulted in winning football because they're still one-dimensional. All they do is throw, and Vetkamp, again, his numbers are going to look good, at least passing-wise, but, I mean, I would expect you to throw for 300 yards if you're throwing the ball 50 times a game, and that's not an over-exaggeration. They throw the ball 50 times a football game. That's what FAU is. Rice is going to slow him down. Rice is going to play good defense. I think they're going to take away a lot of what Vetkamp's able to do. And again, it's a given. Vetkamp's going to throw for a lot of yards, but is that going to result in victories? Not really. And what Rice is going to do, they're going to slow down this game. They're a run-first team. They've got Quentin Jackson, not Rampage, but Quentin Jackson's their lead back, and they got Chase Jenkins as well, their quarterback, who can take off and scramble too. And he will run with designed runs at that as well. Jenkins can throw the ball. It's not really what Rice does. In 4 games, he's got less than 400 yards. 5 games, he's got less than 400 yards. His last game against Navy on the road was his season high in passing at 114 yards. It's not what Rice really has on the menu. That's okay. They're a run-first team. They're going to wear you out as the game goes on, and I just think that's very difficult for an FAU team that wants to play fast-paced and wants to push and, go over the top. Because what happens when you throw 3 incompletions? Now your defense is back on the field for 7 minutes. And say, Vetcamp, who is going to make mistakes and does throw the ball into harm's way and does throw interceptions, what happens if you turn the ball over? Now Rice grinds out another drive. It's a difficult game for FAU, in my opinion. I believe Rice is going to win the football game. They're at home in Houston, and I'd be very surprised if they didn't win this one. Stylistically, the game does kind of, to me, result in a Rice victory and a Rice cover as well. So give me the Owls at home, -4.5 against the other Owls from Florida Atlantic. Give me Rice. On to our next game as we see the number 1 team, at least the alleged the so-called number 1 team in the country. I have nothing against Ohio State other than the fact that they beat Indiana last year. The Ohio State Buckeyes at home against the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Oh, yeah, woo. Should Ohio State be ranked number 1? In my opinion, no. These are 2 Big Ten teams that I'm going to be comparing. The number 1 team in the country should be Oregon. I think the number 2 team in the country should be the Miami Hurricanes. Yes, Ohio State beat Texas when they were ranked first in the country. Since then, though, what have you done? Also, Ohio State beat Texas at Ohio State at the Shoe. Oregon just went to Happy Valley during a whiteout and beat Penn State. That should be the number 1 team in the country. Hell, I'd argue Indiana should be the number 1 team in the country. Biggest blowout ever against a top 10 team for a team outside of the top 10. That was Indiana. They blew out Illinois by 50 plus points. They should at least be in the top 5. But whatever, it's just because they're Indiana. Oh, it's a basketball school. They can't rank them all that high. I understand. Just wait until, hey, Bloomington's the new Bama. So just wait till the Hoosiers are fully established. Now, Ohio State's a 28.5 point favorite, are they? 23.5 point favorite at home against Minnesota. They should cover. Minnesota looked good last week. Drake Lindsey and the Golden Gophers played a good game against Rutgers. Back and forth affair. I actually, at one point in time, throughout many points of that game, I did not think they were going to win. Minnesota comes storming back. They win the football game 31-28. Late touchdown drive by Drake Lindsey. Finds Javon Tracy in the end zone. Touchdown, game winner essentially for the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Coming off a game in the week prior where they went all the way to the West Coast. They go to California. They go and lose to the woke agenda and the California Golden Bears. They lose at 27-14. And I thought after that, okay, you kind of suck, because look what happened in between the Cal game and Minnesota. What happened between the Cal-Minnesota game and Minnesota-Rutgers? Well, Cal then proceeded to lose at San Diego State. But I guess college football just doesn't make sense, because then California goes to Boston College and wins. So that's just college football. I don't know what to say. Sometimes you can't predict that stuff, because on paper that shouldn't have happened. But it is what it is, I guess. Minnesota is it's a whole different task taking on Ohio State, and this is where Ohio State's going to beat a lot of teams this year. It's not the offense. Julian Sain, I think, has done a good job. I think he's done a better job than anyone could have expected him to do. I mean, you have to replace Will Howard in 2024. In 2023, Kyle McCord essentially got scapegoated for, Marvin Harrison only had 1,200 yards in 2023. Oh, no. We lost to Michigan State. We lost 1 game all year. It's still a 14 playoff. We couldn't get in. McCord still had 3,400 yards, only threw 6 picks. He got scapegoated, and I'm glad he got to write his ending, and he got to write his, his pathway into the NFL with a great season at Syracuse last year. I thought ultimately that was going to happen to Julian Sain. I get it, the expectation. No, he has an expectation similar to Kyle McCord. I don't know why he's not getting the same treatment as Kyle McCord. I guess McCord was a junior, Sain's a sophomore. I guess that's the only thing I can come up with. Also, well, he'll get scapegoated as soon as they lose to Michigan the last week of the year. Just wait. They'll be 11-0. They'll walk into Ann Arbor and they will lose. They'll still get to the playoffs, but I'm telling you now, they're gonna lose to Michigan. If they couldn't beat Michigan last year, they're not beating Michigan this year, especially in Ann Arbor. Oh, hell no. Anyways, they will dominate Minnesota, and this is where Ohio State's going to continue to get teams until they play Michigan. The run game. Not the run game, sorry, the defense. Well, you can't run the ball on them. You can't throw the ball on them. You can't move the ball against Ohio State. This is the best defense in the country. Sure as hell looks like it right now. Their offense is good. Jeremiah Smith, obviously, still the best receiver in the country, right? Still one of the best players, if not the best player in the country. Julian Sands doing his job. They got Bo Jackson out the backfield. They got Jackson and Donaldson, CJ Donaldson out the backfield. You got a good tandem running the football, but your strong suits with your defense, and your defense is incredible. I mean, again, it is a litany of names. I think that's the right way to say that. I mean, obviously, Caleb Downs still out there. You lose some pieces last year to the NFL draft and to the transfer portal, but I mean, you still have a loaded defense. Caden Curry, you got obviously Downs. I mean, there's loads of names that this team has. Caden Curry's got 5 sacks already. Caden McDonald's got 3 sacks. I mean, it's a very good team. I just don't know how much Minnesota is going to be able to move the ball this week. That's ultimately what it comes down to. I don't think Minnesota is able to score all that much. I don't even know if they're able to get into plus territory, and that's how Ohio State's going to continue to beat teams. Look at last week, 24-6 victory. Sure, could Washington have had more points if they didn't go fake field goal up 3-0? 100%. But ultimately, they never punched it in, and there's a reason they couldn't get the ball in the end zone because of how good the Ohio State defense is. So I got to go with Ohio State here. Are they, to me, the number 1 team in the country? No, they're the number 1 defense in the country, pure team-wise. I think there's better squads in Oregon. There's a better squad in Bloomington, Indiana. Yes, I believe that. But, it'll all sort itself out eventually. Give me the Ohio State Buckeyes to win at home and cover at home against the Minnesota Golden Gophers, minus 23.5. And now here we go to the game of the week. I mean, it would be very hyped up if it wasn't for the fact that Florida State just lost to the Virginia Cavaliers. But it's still a big game. FSU at home against the Miami Hurricanes. It's a big football game. Miami, the 3rd-ranked team in the country. They're 4-0, going on the road to Tallahassee, the same spot this season where the Alabama Crimson Tide came in and lost. Just imagine the hype if FSU could have just gotten by Virginia on a Friday night. Oh, man. How do you lose that game? Anyways, though, here we are. In Tallahassee, Miami is a 5.5-point favorite with potentially the best quarterback in college football. There's a lot of them. Devin Dampier is great. He's not in that list anymore. But Carson Beck, Fernando Mendoza, Dante Moore, John Maytier. It's a lot of really good college football quarterbacks. Carson Beck, though, is one of those elite guys. Will he win the Heisman? I don't know. Again, it's a long season ahead. Beck statistically wasn't great against the University of Florida. But in big games, he does show up. And really, in the Florida game, Beck throws for 160 yards. They don't really need him to throw the ball when Mark Fletcher's having that much success on the ground, and the game's essentially over in the 3rd quarter. Just because, well, we know Florida can't really score. That game was competitive into the 4th, because that was Florida's only score was in the 3rd. Still, though, Beck didn't really need to throw the ball because of how much success they're having on the ground. Now, we'll see what happens this week, because Florida State versus Virginia. Chandler Morris struggles, but, here's the thing. Carson Beck's better than Chandler Morris, and Carson Beck's not going to make all the mistakes Chandler Morris makes. Obviously, right, Morris goes from playing at the University of Northern Texas to Virginia and playing Florida State in ACC conference games, right? The run game out of Virginia saw a lot of success in all the backs. 48 carries, 211 yards. Jamari Taylor, 27 carries, 99 yards. Xavier Brown, 9 carries, 60 yards. Mark Fletcher should be able to get going against this team. He should. Carson Beck, again, I'm not concerned about Beck. He's fine. He's still, pure skill-wise, he might be the best quarterback in college football. I'm leaning towards that's Fernando Mendoza now. Nobody's going to give Mendoza the credit, and he fell like crazy in the Heisman race just because, he goes on the road and beats Iowa. But watch the plays Mendoza makes. Watch the throws Mendoza makes against Iowa. Yeah, that guy's the best talent that there is at the quarterback position right now in college football. I mean, the balls he's throwing against cover 0 straight on blitz, get it to Elijah Surratt. Ooh. Mendoza's really good. Anyways, Miami versus Florida State. So I can break down the offense as much as I want. I can tell you again what Beck's going to do. I can tell you that they're going to run the ball against Florida State. Here's where Florida State's going to get shut down today. And this is why Miami's going to win, and this is why they're going to cover 5.5 points. I think Tommy Castellanos has been figured out. I think Castellanos has. He's a runner, and a very good runner at that. If you force him to stay in the pocket, and you force him to throw the football, you have a problem. There's a reason he only attempted 14 passes against Alabama. There's a reason he attempted 13 passes against Kent State. He's a pure running quarterback. And everything around him is great. The run game's great. He's great at running the football. If you force Castellanos in the pocket, it's not as good. Now, you say what you want about Castellanos' exit last year from Boston College. It was weird. It is what it is. But there's a reason Boston College was so quickly like, okay, yeah, you want to leave? Go ahead. Go test the portal. Mid-season. That's fine. With 3 weeks left to go, whatever. We can make it work. Right? I'm just saying he's not the best pure passer. Against Virginia, he has to throw over double the amount of passes he has in his previous games. He was 18 for 32 passing against the Cavaliers with a touchdown and 2 interceptions. Again, on the ground, he's great, but that's against the Virginia defense that gives up points. Miami holds everybody. That South Florida team that everyone was high on because they beat Boise, they beat Florida. Yeah, how about 12 points against Miami? Notre Dame, 24 points. Florida, 7 points. They hold everybody. CJ Carr's better than Tommy Castellanos. He's not the dual threat Castellanos is, but Carr's a better quarterback. Shut him down. Who's to say they're not going to shut down Castellanos? It's just a super difficult matchup for him, man. I mean, it's just the defense Miami has is insane. And it's something that's usually the other way around. It's the Miami offense that's usually carrying them. Look at last year, right? Hell, watch the Pop-Tart Bowl. I get it, they had dropouts, but still, they had opt-outs. But look at that game. Cam Ward scoring every time he touches the ball in the first half, but their defense can't stop Iowa State. Defense is so much better now. They are shutting teams down. And it helps when you have an elite quarterback on the other side of the ball and you can get your team in a great position. You have a great offensive line, and you've got a guy like Mark Fletcher who can run it at such success. To me, it's just a difficult matchup for Florida State. And undoubtedly, I'm going to go with the Miami Hurricanes to go on the road and win, especially with Florida State coming off the loss. I'm disappointed FSU lost, not just from the perspective of I want the hype going into the game, but the fact that we get worse odds now for Miami. We get 5.5. We were going to get like 2.5. Florida State had to ruin it by going to Virginia and losing. Anyways, Miami should dominate. I just don't see how Florida State's going to score all that much. Oh, they beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Yeah, I'm telling you, the offense is figured out now. Miami's not stupid. They watched that game. FSU's figured out offensively. They'll be fine. Beck will find his way on offense too. Give me the Hurricanes. It's all about the U as we move on to our next game to Kyle Field. 100,000 people. Texas A&M ranked now 6th in the country after back-to-back victories over Notre Dame and then Auburn. A&M gets by Auburn last week by 6 points. Not a crazy game for Marcel Reed, but a good enough game as A&M picks up the victory, and now they host the Mississippi State Bulldogs, who were right in it at home in Starkville against Tennessee. They had Tennessee. Back and forth affair. They go up with 8 minutes to go. Joey Aguilar, though, as time 2 minutes left, runs in for a touchdown. You go into OT. Tennessee scores. The Bulldogs cannot. Fluff Bothwell, I mean, what a game. 23 carries, 134 yards. Blake Shapen's trying. I'll say that. I think Shapen, just needs to develop a little bit more. He's a senior, isn't he? Oh, never mind. He's a senior. I forgot he was at Baylor for all those years. Yeah, I don't know. He's a mid-tier SEC quarterback is what I will say. He looked good in the Arizona State game, but you play SEC defenses, and it's a whole other game. It is. It just means more in the South. It just means more down here, right? How does Mississippi State beat Texas A&M? How do they? On the road at Kyle Field, you lose to Tennessee at home, and now you got to go play this game? Marcel Reed, another one of these quarterbacks that is well involved in the Heisman race. Reed has been great this season. He's done everything A&M has asked him to do. He's got this team at 4-0 and was Saturday's game against Auburn underwhelming. 100% it was. It was a very underwhelming game where Jackson Arnold takes his team down the field in the fourth quarter and makes it a 3-point game. A&M leaves the door wide open for Auburn at the end of that football game. I mean, it's a 6-point game with 2.5 to go. Auburn gets a chance to potentially win the game, and they get the football and immediately go 4-0. Right? It is what it is. So they go 3-and-out, they punt, they get the football back immediately 4-0. So A&M's defense steps up, and this is what we really need to talk about A&M. Again, most of the hype and most of the media attention around Texas A&M is going to go towards Marcel Reed because Marcel Reed is a talent and he's a very good quarterback. I'm telling you, though, that defense is solid. It is. I mean, I know the Notre Dame game, there were 81 combined points. That stop they make, though, on 4 straight downs against Notre Dame. Sorry, that yeah, the stop they make, it wasn't 4 straight downs. I don't think it was 4 straight downs, but because I don't think Notre Dame had enough time. But that end of the game, again, it is what it is. They get stops. What I was going for, I completely scrambled my train of thoughts. That end of the game, on offense at least, is one hell of an accomplishment. Again, though, the 4 straight downs against Mississippi State. The 4 straight downs against Auburn, not Notre Dame. Stopping them twice on back-to-back drives. I get it. Jackson Arnold is not the best, and that Auburn offense isn't the best. But back-to-back, I mean, you stuffed them for 7 straight plays. 7 straight plays, they can't get 10 yards. Game on the line. That's how much trust that A&M's got in their defense. That, yeah, okay, punch you the ball back, we don't care. Go score. And I know that wasn't on display in the Notre Dame game, but that goes to show where the offense, too, and what the offense can accomplish. The composure out of Marcel Reed on that last drive, first down, you can't get anything, incomplete. Or first down, you lose yards. Second down, incomplete. Third down, incomplete. 4th and 11, game on the line, Marcel Reed touchdown. And sure, does that game get changed if Notre Dame can hit the extra point? 100%. Just shows you, though, the composure and the poise that Marcel Reed has. And now when the defense is playing like that, again, it can afford Marcel Reed to not play as hot a football. But I don't expect A&M's offense to play like they did last week every week, obviously. Scoring only 16 points against Auburn. No. The offense is going to continue to come on, and they're going to put it on Mississippi State this week because I don't think Blake Shapen's going to be able to keep up. And here's the thing. Mississippi State was always in a competitive game with Tennessee, so they could continue to run Fluff Bothwell. What happens when you're down 14? What happens when you're down more than 14, 17? Are you going to keep running Fluff Bothwell? Again, yeah, a good prolonged drive can get you in the red zone and potentially get you in the end zone. But what happens when A&M immediately puts points back on the board against you? That's the thing. I think it's a tough game, especially being at Kyle Field. I think Mississippi State's going to crumble. I got to go with the Aggies at home at A&M, minus 14.5. Texas A&M covers at home. Sticking in the state of Texas, we go to Fort Worth, Texas. The Texas Christian Horned Frogs host the Colorado Buffaloes. Give me Colorado. Yeah, give me Colorado. 14.5 points. It's a lot of points. It is. Colorado, are they all that good anymore? They're not, unfortunately. I cheer for Colorado still. I cheer for Coach Prime. I like what he's doing at Colorado. They are 0-2 this year in the Big 12. They are 2-3 as a squad after losing on opening night to a good Haynes King-led Georgia Tech team, beating Delaware, who it's going to turn into a pretty good victory considering the way that the Blue Hens are playing this year, and then losing to Houston, obviously, beating Wyoming, and then losing to BYU last week. They should have beaten BYU. That was bad. It was really bad. I mean, you can't get a stop at the end of the first half. You could have gone into halftime locker rooms up 14-3, but no, Bear Bachmer, by the way, is running all over you. Second half comes out, BYU scores. Okay, Caden Salter moves them down the field in the third quarter, retakes the lead. BYU then puts it on you, scores again in the fourth quarter. Get the ball back. Salter has a big run, gets called back with the holding. Everything goes downhill from there for the Colorado Buffaloes. All right. You go to Fort Worth, Texas to play Texas Christian. Now, I am a little bit concerned about the Colorado offense because even though they did score early in that game, it wasn't really because of Caden Salter's arm. It's just they took advantage of really good field positioning. They were able to put together a long drive, but that wasn't really because of the arm of Salter. Oh, man, he threw for 120 yards, and that's the problem that they still have at Colorado. They don't have a quarterback. They went to Ryan Staub earlier in the year. They originally started Salter. Now he's back. Juju Lewis has seen spots. That's their problem. And I think that's why eventually this season, I think sooner rather than later, going to see Juju Lewis. Because, guys, if they lose this game, which they're going to, we're just taking the points, they're going to go to 2-4. Prime's going to say, okay, Salter, yeah, you got your shot. You're 0-3 as a starter this season. We're gonna try the freshman. There's a reason we gave this guy a boatload of money to come here. He's the future of Colorado football. I mean, they did the little passing of the torch last year when they were preparing for the Alamo Bowl, and Juju's there with Shedeur Sanders, right? There's a reason for that. He's the future of the program, and they're just waiting for him to finally get a shot. It might be after this week. It might be. It might be against Iowa State in Boulder in 2 weeks. But for now, you got to go to Texas Christian and take on a TCU team that can score and score a lot. Josh Hoover, he can move the ball. Now, they struggled at ASU because what do I always say? Ranked teams go to die in Tempe, Arizona. Told you it was happening, and it did. Josh Hoover struggled because everyone, once they just, I'm serious, it's something about Arizona State. You walk into Arizona State, and weird things happen, and you can't move the football anymore, and your offense just isn't the same. That's what happened to Hoover and Texas Christian. They'll be back at home. They're going to be better this week, but again, now there's doubts. You lost your first game. I think Hoover's been playing well, but hell, the games that they've played so far this year at home, Albany and Christian don't count. The one game they played at home, Southern Methodist. SMU stays in the game, they lose by 11 points. Again, SMU, yes, are they better than Colorado? Sure. But again, when TCU beat Southern Methodist, that's TCU at full strength. They're undefeated. A lot of confidence because they had the Monday night game where they blew out North Carolina in Belichick's debut. All the momentum in the world. Now, coming off a loss on the road, taking on Colorado. How excited are they to play this Colorado game? Oh, by the way, what happened last time Colorado went to Texas Christian? I get it. Shedeur Sanders was there. I get it. Travis Hunter was there. They didn't blow them out, but they won the shootout at Texas Christian. What, 49-45, something like that? 49-42? It's a crazy score. I'm going with the Buffs to cover. I don't think they're going to win, but to ask TCU to win by more than 2 touchdowns, I think is just too much. Give me Colorado on the road. As we stay now in the Big 12, the Kansas Jayhawks go on the road to Orlando, Florida to take on the UCF Knights. We said earlier, UCF coming off of a disappointing loss last week against K-State. Way to go, Taven Jackson. Way to go. And that's the problem, again, UCF has sometimes, well, I think they're going to continue to have, is that Jackson's not a pass-first quarterback. He's supposed to be an option guy, and what UCF wants to run doesn't really favor Jackson. Jackson, again, at UCF is supposed to, this is a stretch, he's supposed to be Mackenzie Milton. No, not at all. But they want him to sit in the pocket. They want him to throw, and he goes 12 for 24 passing last week at K-State. And UCF becomes the team, obviously, that loses to Kansas State after the abysmal start of the season for the Wildcats. They're being trashed everywhere, and UCF walks in there and they lose. So now you'd have to take on the other Kansas team, and the Kansas Jayhawks, and Jalen Daniels. Kansas, another team with a disappointing loss last week. However, I think we can take a lot more, positives out of Kansas's loss to Cincinnati than I can out of the loss that UCF had at Kansas State. For one, look how well the Bearcats are playing this year, right? They've only lost one game all year, is that Arrowhead neutral site game at night against Nebraska, a very good team out of the Big Ten. And Cincinnati beats Kansas by 3 points. Sorbsy puts on 400 yards on them. Jalen Daniels throws for 450 yards in his own right. It was a straight shootout that, unfortunately, Kansas just couldn't get the better of. Cincinnati scores with 30 seconds left to go after putting together a 10-play, 75-yard drive in 1 minute and 16 seconds, again, orchestrated by Brendan Sorbsy. An excellent game for Sorbsy and an excellent win for the Bearcats. UCF's loss isn't as positive. You were down 31-10 in the third quarter against lowly Kansas State. Yeah, Jaden Nixon rips a 54-yard touchdown, and you cut the lead to 14 at one point, but the game's essentially over in the fourth quarter because you can't really move the football. So a disappointing L against a team that had struggled so much in Kansas State. And you let K-State run the ball up and down the field against you. Now, Kansas, the Jayhawks, doesn't have the run game they used to, at least with Devin Neal, but Jalen Daniels can tear you apart on the ground. He can also tear you apart through the air too. And I get it, the game's in Florida. I get it's in Orlando, and Central Florida obviously was on their huge high just a couple weeks ago because they welcomed in the Tar Heels. And we're more than just Central Florida. We're UCF. How dare Belichick call us Central Florida? Okay, Central Florida. How do you go to Kansas State and lose? Can't even cover either. I mean, come on. We're gotta talk about the real issues here. You can't even cover that game? Come on now. I think UCF's run so far is a little overrated. We picked against them in week 1, and Jack State easily covered in that low-scoring defensive battle that was won by UCF 17-10. You beat North Carolina A&T, and you beat UNC, who we've detailed as horrible this season. Kansas is going to put up points. And the way I see this thing, I don't think UCF's able to keep up. Sure, it's in UCF's environment. We're not playing in the cold. We're not playing in Kansas. We're playing in, obviously, sunny Orlando, Florida, or humid Orlando, Florida. I'm sure it's going to be hot this weekend in Florida still, even though it's October now. Weather forecast is 80 degrees on ESPN, right? So it's going to be kind of hot. And UCF, I mean, again, their offense is going to revolve around Miles Montgomery, their running back, who had 10 carries for 120 yards against Kansas State. Ultimately, though, I still think it's a very tough game because of the pace that Kansas pushes and the offense, too, that they have. I think it's going to be really tough for UCF to stay in the game. I got to go with the Jayhawks. Next up, we go to Memphis, Tennessee, for the Memphis Tigers hosting the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. It's a matchup, obviously, in the American Conference, and here is a squad in Memphis that is one of the premier teams in the American this year, and a team that still has playoff aspirations after winning their non-con game, their big non-con game. Every Group of 5 team has one for the most part. They beat Arkansas, right? The Razorbacks go to Memphis, and the Tigers find a way to win. Again, fumble at the end of the game. That's neither here or there. Memphis wins it 32-12, and they advance, obviously, into the next stage of their season, which is try to remain undefeated and get to the American Championship game, of course, undefeated as well. Now, they still have some very tough games. They don't have North Texas on the schedule, but you got Tulane, you got South Florida, and you got Navy. However, all 3 of those games are at home. It might be Memphis's year. Remember when we thought it could have been the year with Darrell Henderson Jr.? Like, random fact, my favorite college football running back I have ever watched, maybe favorite college football player I've ever watched just in general, Darrell Henderson Jr., the year where he had almost 2,000 rushing yards with Brady White. Every Saturday I'd make sure I'd watch Memphis football. In 2019, I will not forget that. Darrell Henderson was an absolute monster in college. I thought he was going to be a stud in the NFL. And good for him. He won a Super Bowl with the Rams, but never really turned out. I've always been a Darrell Henderson truther. I don't even think he's in the league anymore. Anyways, Memphis is legit this season. They absolutely are. This is a team that continues to win. You take a quarterback from Nevada who struggled to stay on the field in terms of, just getting playing time because of Chuba Purdy in Brendan Lewis. Lewis has been fine for this team. He's not the main reason they're winning, but he's done a good job, right? Sutton Smith is a big reason why they're winning. And no, I got to give credit to Brendan Lewis. His arm's not why they're winning, but what he's doing on the ground and what Sutton Smith is doing on the ground is a big factor in that as well. And again, Lewis is playing well. It's just the determining factor in most Memphis games is their ground game. Last week, Greg DeSuriers has 204 yards on 19 carries. 264 yards now in total in the year. I mean, you have a very large amount of running backs. That's a weird way to put it. But you've got a bunch of guys who can run the football, whether it be Smith, whether it be Greg, whether it be Brendan Lewis, obviously, he's their quarterback. You have a bunch of options. And what Memphis does last week to FAU is straight belt to ass. They beat him 55-26. They'll do the same thing to the Tulsa Golden Hurricane, who's coming off a loss last week to Tulane, where, hey, Tulane actually starts completing passes again. Baylor Hayes is the starting quarterback for Tulsa, or he's been the starting quarterback, obviously, since the injury to Francis early in the year. That's fine. Tulsa doesn't wow me. You beat Oklahoma State, but everybody can beat Oklahoma State. Tulsa's only wins this year are Albany Christian and Oklahoma State, 2 teams that should be playing in the FCS hell. One of them already does. OK State should join them. I'm taking Memphis to win the football game. They should boat race Tulsa. Tulsa will not be able to stay in this one. They just don't have the offensive firepower that Memphis does. Memphis can score literally every single time they touch the field, and their offense gets on the field, and they're a very good team in the American Conference. I have to go with Memphis here. Give me the Tigers minus 20.5 at home. Next up, we go to our penultimate game of the video. Let's go to Berkeley, California for the Duke Blue Devils on the road against the California Golden Bears. Give me Duke. Give me Duke. Duke minus 2.5 on the road. I think they can do it. I've picked against Duke quite a bit on the channel. We pick a Duke game every week. Duke's been featured on, we didn't pick the Syracuse game on the best bets, but Illinois game was the best bet against Duke. Tulane game was the best bet against Duke, and then NC State game we did bet on Duke with the best bet. I think this will be on the video too, though. I think it will. Come back Friday. I'm picking Duke to beat California. Definitely. 100% taking them to beat Cal. I don't want to say Cal's been exposed, but better teams are going to beat California. Their Linsanity run is over. And sure, the Linsanity run continued last week in Boston, Massachusetts against Boston College, because Boston College sucks at football. How do you lose to Stanford and Cal? You can't beat either of them. And one of them travels cross-country to play you, and you still lose. Yeah, you suck. Okay? You suck, is what I'm getting out of that. The Duke Blue Devils, man, for as critical as I've been on them this season, Darian Mensah can sling it. And Darian Mensah puts his team in a position to win. Last 2 weeks, Duke scores 45 points and 38 points. They do nothing but score. Tulane game, Mensah throws for 300 yards. They lose by 7. That's fine. But again, last couple weeks they've been electric, and they've been able to move the football. California, obviously led by their starting quarterback, true freshman, 5-star Jaron Kiwe Sagapulete. He's been all right he's been good this season. But again, the San Diego State game still sticks out in my mind. It sticks out like a sore thumb. How do you lose to San Diego State 34-0? Sagapulete throws 2 interceptions. You're a 13.5-point favorite on the road, and you lose 34-0. Obviously, a pick 6, a scoop and score a touchdown. Just, it didn't get worse. It could not have gotten any worse for Cal in that football game. It starts right away in the first quarter. You have a long drive, 19 plays, 75 yards down the field. You get down to the 2-yard line. You turn the ball over on downs. You can't convert the 2. All goes downhill from there, right? You get the ball back right away, then you have to punt again. And San Diego State scores, and it's just, you miss a field goal. Everything went wrong for California. I can't trust them against an ACC school. I get it. It's very, and I will always be the first to say this. It is so difficult for teams to go cross country and play in the Big Ten, in the ACC, especially the ACC, because the Big Ten, I mean, you can get, this is still a far trip, but I mean, you can get, Oregon's going to Minnesota. It's a long trip, but it's not that bad of a trip. Duke from Durham, North Carolina going to California, Berkeley is brutal. It's a long trip. I don't think it really affects them too much. Again, it's one of these ACC after dark games. It kind of reminds me of the late game that, not to the same circumstances, obviously, with game day and whatnot and Cam Ward, but when Miami had to go last year to play a late night game at California, that was a lot closer than it was supposed to be, but Miami found a way to win. Should have gone to that game. I didn't. I was at Otani's first playoff game. Anyways, I'm taking the Duke Blue Devils here. I am. I don't think California is able to keep up. This is a game where Cal's going to be forced to score all game long and not playing a horrible crap team like the Boston College Eagles, who blew another lead, by the way, against California. No, they're playing an actual football team, the Duke Blue Devils, who I've had my concerns with all year long, but I think they come through, and I like what the offense is able to do. Defensively, I think they're going to have some success against Cal. I think Sagapulete, there's film on him, there's tape on him. He's kind of getting figured out. Their run game's good. I got to give a lot of credit to Kendrick Raphael. He's been good, but I'm going with the Duke Blue Devils to win the game on the road and cover the 2.5 points. On to our final game of the video. This has probably broken the record for longest video on my channel. It feels like it, I'm going to be honest, recording it. That's a bad thing. It's just, I've been sitting in this chair for quite a bit. Final game of the week. In Fresno, California, at Valley Children's Stadium, the Nevada Wolfpack go on the road to take on the Fresno State Bulldogs. I'm taking Fresno State. I mean, we've detailed it earlier. Hell, we just talked about a couple games ago. Brendan Lewis, starting quarterback last year of Nevada, who got benched for Chuba Purdy at one point in time, is at Memphis. Nevada now is stuck with Chuba Purdy. Yeah, I think they made the right decision, or the wrong decision, by getting rid of Lewis. Guys, Chuba Purdy might be the worst quarterback in the G5. No, let's say that's maybe going too far, but he's probably the worst quarterback in the Mountain West. Tell me right now who's worse in the Mountain West than Chuba Purdy. If he didn't have the last name, would Chuba Purdy still be starting as well? Guys, Purdy's stat line this year, let me read it to you. 54% completion rate, 1 touchdown, 500 yards, and 6 interceptions. What he does, though, and what he does effectively, better than any of their running backs, is running the football. That's why he plays. Purdy's their best rusher. But if it's not for some late game heroics in week 2 against Sacramento State and a pick 6 to win the game against Sacramento State, Nevada's an 0-4 team. Yep. They're 1-3 because they got a pick 6 with 2 minutes to go against Sacramento State. You lose week 1 to Penn State, expected. You lose at home to Middle Tennessee after the Sac State win. What? And then you go to Bowling Green, Kentucky, go to Bowling Green, Kentucky, and you lose to Western Kentucky. Purdy's going to be in hell playing this game, man. Fresno State's defense is getting better, and it's only getting better. The game they play at Hawaii, I know, final score is a 2-point win. No, that's because Hawaii has a late game heroics, some bullcrap. They score. It's only in a late night game in Hawaii. Does Hawaii come back? They go 77 yards. They convert 2 4th downs, and they almost win the game at the end. Almost tie the game at the end, but they don't get the 2-point conversion. Okay. Micah Alejado and Hawaii. The Fresno State defense is playing well. Shout out to Kevon Thunderbird, the best name in college football. Kevon Thunderbird, that's fire. Picks off Micah Alejado, takes it back for 6. By the way, Micah, who's a very good quarterback who people are hyped on, really hyping up in Hawaii or with Hawaii. I get it. He's injured right now, kind of playing through an injury. They don't want Luke Weaver to play. Micah Alejado is a good quarterback. Those 3 interceptions against Fresno State. Yeah. What's Chuba Purdy going to do? A guy who is addicted to throwing interceptions. On top of that, the Fresno offense is finally coming through. E.J. Warner, this is why they brought E.J. Warner in. This is why they paid E.J. Warner the big bucks. He's moving out the pocket. He's scrambling. He's hitting dudes with hezzies now. What? Where did this come from? I mean, those aren't, crazy. Those aren't the Warner genes being able to run. Kurt always had 54 speed in Madden every single year. This is big time, and E.J. Warner's making the passes. Of course, I was very impressed by his late game drive against Oregon State and Corvallis a couple weeks ago. He finally figured it out at home against the Southern Jaguars from the SWAC, the confidence booster he needed, scoring 56 points. And the win at Hawaii in the final ever meeting, at least of Mountain West opponents, Fresno State and Hawaii, was a huge win for the Bulldogs. And I'm telling you, E.J. Warner has the confidence now. He's got the confidence to scramble. He's got the confidence to step up in the pocket. And like in Hawaii, their run game couldn't get going. We talked about their elite backs and their good backfield with Rayshawn Duke, Bryson Donaldson. Gillum's been completely squeezed out, but with Luke and Donaldson, neither of them could get going. Luke had 10 carries, 39 yards. Donaldson, 13 carries, 18 yards. What happened? E.J. Warner came through and threw for 230 yards on 22 for 29 passing and put his team in the right position to win. That's what he's been brought in to do. They call him on the broadcast a game manager, but sometimes being a game manager is just good enough. And I think right now, it's good enough to win Fresno State the Mountain West. We'll come back to that as the season goes on. They are in a great position right now. I think they will go to Colorado State next week and win. It's a Thursday game or a Friday game. We'll get to that again when we get there. But for now, yes, they will go out and destroy this Nevada team. It will not be a competition. It will be over in the first half. Give me the Fresno State Bulldogs to cover the 13.5 points at home against the Nevada Wolfpack. It won't be a competitive game, and with the way Warner's playing, it's only going to improve the team. Defense will be picking off Chuba Purdy at least 2 times in the Central Valley. Folks, thank y'all for watching our week number 6 college football predictions. I believe it's the longest video again on my channel, so I want to thank you guys for watching all the way through. It truly means a lot. Again, I say it every week. Folks, thank y'all for watching. Make sure that subscribe button down below for more. Again, all I ask, subscribe, leave a like, and we'll be back next Monday as well for Week 7 college football predictions. We're going to keep on going. Every single week, every single game. It's just what we do. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.